Dugu Shu kindly reminded. Haha, kid, don't blame me for not warning you. Even I don't have an antidote. Whether Su Shengyu can survive or not depends on you. After that, Dugu Shu disappeared without a trace like a ghost. But everyone knew that he had not left the hall. He was hiding in the darkness like a shadow and watching everything that happened in the hall. Even if Dugu Shu disappears, no one dares to have any evil intentions. They don't want to turn into a cold corpse one step ahead. Xu Feng frowned when he heard this. His dark eyes looked at the sluggish old man in front of him, and the corners of Xu Feng's mouth twitched slightly. If Su Shengyu died in his hands, he was afraid that his reputation would be ruined. There is no place for him in Yanjing. Xu Feng quickly calmed himself down and checked Su Shengyu's condition. The poison was spreading faster than he imagined. In just a few seconds, Su Shengyu's skin began to turn purple. At such a critical moment, when Xu Feng saw Lu Chen still gloating about his misfortune, he also said angrily, Lu Chen still won't get out of the way, don't stand here and influence me. Lu Chen didn't say anything. After all, except for him, everyone's lives were now in Xu Feng's hands. Xu Feng held his breath and concentrated, took out a set of silver needles, took out one from it, gently twisted the bottom of the silver needle with his 2 fingers, transferred his own true energy into the silver needle, and slowly inserted it into Su Shengyu's forehead. Xu Feng, what do you want to do? If you kill old patriarch Su, our Su family will have to pay for it with your life even if you offend Dr. Feng. The children of the Su family couldn't sit still when they saw Xu Feng inserting dense silver needles into Su Shengyu's head. Was he trying to save him or kill him? Noisy. Shut up, little friend. Xu Feng is treating Senior Su. I need you to keep the minimum silence. The aura of Yi Wuhai, the 6th grade martial saint at the peak of his powers, suddenly leaped out. Under the pressure, everyone shut their mouths in an instant. But Su Haoran didn't accept this trick. He is also a strong 6th grade martial saint, and Su Shengyu is his father. He cannot just watch Su Shengyu die under Xu Feng's silver needle. Yi Wuhai, what do you mean? Why do you think that a nobody like him can save my father? Su Haoran asked sternly. It was extremely ridiculous to place all his hopes on this unknown person. So Family Master Su has a better way to treat Senior Su? We only have half an hour. Xu Feng is the only doctor here who has the ability to treat Senior Su. Even if you don't believe me, you can't help but believe in Medical Fairy Feng. Bullshit Phoenix Medical Fairy, one who disappeared for decades. Su Haoran. No matter what, this is a bet between Dugu Zan and Xu Feng. If you step forward to interrupt this bet, I won't care if Dugu Zan does something outrageous. At least, I believe Xu Feng still has a glimmer of hope. Yi Wuhai said angrily that he wanted to save Su Shengyu more than anyone else, but the existence of Dugu Shu made him dare not act rashly. Su Haoran was trembling with anger, but there was nothing he could do. In the darkness, Dugu Shu's cloudy old eyes looked at everything that happened in the hall, and a playful smile appeared on his chapped lips. Jia, interesting and interesting. Hundreds of pairs of eyes focused on the thin young figure on the stage. They could do nothing at this moment, they could only pray silently in their hearts. Xu Feng, you must work hard. Xu Feng looked at the ashen-faced Su Shengyu, and his heart was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. Damn it. After trying many methods but still to no avail, a little loss and disappointment appeared on Xu Feng's face. He kept mumbling to himself. The poison has penetrated into Senior Su's internal organs. What should I do? What would she do if the master was here? After being silent for a long time, Xu Feng raised his eyes and murmured, since the poison cannot be removed, I will take out the poison. Senior Su, you must hold on, I will definitely save you. The 4th level of Fierce Yang Kung, 3000 flames of fire. The blazing fire burned along the silver needle in Xu Feng's hand, and the tiny silver needle was engulfed and wrapped in the flames. Xu Feng did not hesitate to insert the silver needle in his hand into Su Shengyu's forehead, which was filled with dense silver needles. The moment he inserted the silver needle, light cyan mist rose from the silver needle. The slowly disappearing wisps of blue mist contain toxins that make one's scalp numb. Even if an ordinary warrior takes a breath, he may not be able to survive for a quarter of an hour. Xu Feng whispered softly. This poison is more overbearing than I thought. With Senior Su's body, let alone half an hour, it has already reached the sky in a quarter of an hour. Faster, faster. Xu Feng was sweating profusely, and the silver needle in his hand did not stop at all. Many people present were moved by this. Even Su Haoran began to shake his initial doubts about Chu Feng. Maybe this little-known young man could really save his father from Dugu Zan. Su Beizi's pink face moved violently, and she placed her pink fist on her slightly bulging chest, clenching it tightly, praying for a miracle. The poison that penetrated into Su Shengyu's 5 internal organs, 6 organs, bone marrow, and dantian was gradually peeled off from Su Shengyu's body under Chu Feng's skillful acupuncture therapy. Su Shengyu's skin was no longer as purple as it was at the beginning, and the situation seemed to be improving. Dugu Shi was hiding in the dark, his thin body couldn't stop trembling, and his face kept convulsing. This was a result he had never expected. Chu Feng, an unknown person, actually used a small silver needle to undo the poison he was most proud of. He originally wanted to use Chu Feng to wash away the shame of losing to Feng Zhu, but in the end, seeing that Su Shengyu's expression began to improve, many people's faces showed joy. It was ridiculous that the bullshit Wan Jiyu poison master could lose to this unknown young man. Su Beizi ran to Lu Chen's side excitedly. Her soft little hands tightly grasped Lu Chen's left arm. Her pink lips pursed slightly, her clear watery eyes looked at Su Shengyu, whose complexion was gradually improving, and she smiled with her teeth. "That's great. Brother Lu Chen, Grandpa, he will be fine." Lu Chen did not speak and chose to remain silent. This was naturally not the result he wanted. Just when everyone thought that the bet between Chu Feng and Dugu Zan had been won, someone said, "Senior Sus' face looks wrong, look at it." Everyone looked and saw that Su Shengyu's face suddenly became gloomy again, even more depressed than before. Su Shengyu spat out a mouthful of turbid blood, and most of his white robe was stained red by the turbid blood. "Grandpa! Woohoo!" Su Beizi cried loudly, like pear blossoms with rain, and grabbed Lu Chen's arm tighter. "How is this possible? Senior Sus' situation has obviously improved just now. Could it be that the old thief Dugu Shu is playing tricks? HMPH, I don't even bother to use this method. Whether you can survive or not depends on Su Shengyu's luck." Dugu Zan appeared like a ghost, observing Chu Feng's every move with a gloomy expression. But Dugu Zan was also puzzled by Su Shengyu's sudden deterioration. Chu Feng has obviously eliminated most of the poison in Su Shengyu's body, but Su Shengyu's condition has worsened. Could it be? Could it be that Chu Feng had no intention of saving Su Shengyu from the beginning? Chu Feng was sweating profusely and his clothes were already soaked. He didn't understand what was going on. It was clear that very little of the poison in Su Shengyu's body had been removed by himself. If someone wasn't doing something secretly, that would be really weird. Chu Feng suddenly turned his head and looked at Dugu Shu. Who else could do something under his nose but Dugu Shu, whose strength was unfathomable? Chu Feng and Dugu Zan became suspicious of each other, and time passed by. I remind you again, judging from Su Shengyu's current situation, he still has 3 minutes to live. Dugu Cheng's hoarse voice sounded, and everyone's hearts trembled. 3 minutes? Doesn't that mean they only have the last 3 minutes to live? Chu Feng's eyes were about to burst. The remaining true energy in his body was simply not enough to operate the Fire Yang Kung again. What? You were helpless so quickly. It seems that Feng Yu's disciples are nothing more than that. Seeing that Chu Feng had nothing to do, Dugu Cheng also began to sarcastically say that he wanted to wash away all the shame that Feng Zhu had brought to him. "Senior Dugu, don't be too happy, you might as well let me give it a try." Lu Chen took his arm out from Su Beizi's chest, took a step forward and said, "If Lu Chen doesn't get out of here, how can you speak here?" Chu Feng cursed breathlessly. His physical strength had been exhausted just now in order to operate the 4th level of Fire Yang Kung, and now he could hardly stand even if he spoke. Dugu Shu glanced at Lu Chen. Could this outsider, who had been silent all this time, finally be unable to bear it anymore? "My name is Lu Chen, and I am also Feng Zhu's disciple. Since senior brother Chu Feng is weak, you might as well let me give it a try." "Lu Chen, our Su family is not a place for you to mess around, so get out of here." Su Haoran was angry. He knew exactly what kind of person Lu Chen was. An ignorant playboy could actually know medical skills. Under the black robe, Dugu Shu's dull eyes shone slightly with a cold light. "You still have 2 minutes." Seeing Dugu Shu's acquiescence, Lu Chen did not dare to neglect. "It's senior. How dare you, Lu Chen?" Lu Chen ignored Su Haoran's scolding when several tiny golden needles suddenly appeared in his hand. This was the heaven-level weapon Dragon Soul Needle that the system had rewarded him a few days ago. As soon as the Dragon Soul Needle came out, the true energy escaping from it made everyone present tremble. Many experienced warriors said in surprise. The aura emitted by this golden needle has transcended the scope of Earth-level weapons, and may have touched the scope of heaven-level weapons. What? This golden needle is a heavenly weapon. As expected of the Lu family, the family is big and the business is great. It can't be compared to that. It can't be compared. Now you should think about how to survive. Whether you can escape from Dugu Zan is the question you should think about. Lu Chen slowly closed his eyes, and the acupuncture method of 13 needles of the Ghost Gate gradually became clear in his mind. He gently twisted the bottom of the golden needle with his 2 fingers, inserted it into Su Shungyu's back, and followed the acupuncture method in his mind. Each golden needle pierced Su Shungyu's back. Chu Feng stared blankly at Lu Chen's skillful acupuncture technique. How could this be possible? Why does Lu Chen know acupuncture? Lu Chen's skillful movements completely shocked Chu Feng. He was so shocked that he wanted to believe it, but couldn't believe it. In the end, he had to believe it. Lu Chen smiled coldly with a crooked corner of his mouth, and then used his hands to circulate the true energy in his body, pulling out the remaining poison in Su Shungyu's body. A minute later, all the poison gathered at Su Shungyu's fingertips. Lu Chen took out the wine bug from the glass bottle that Su Shungyu held tightly in his palm. Putting the wine worm gently on Su Shungyu's fingertips, the wine worm seemed to notice something and bit Su Shungyu's finger, sucking the overflowing blood and the poison mixed in the blood. The wine bug's small, crystal-white body also turned azure. This wine bug actually sucked out all the poison in Mr. Su's body. It's really amazing. No, it's not the wine bug that's powerful, it's Lu Chen. He was able to gather the poison in Mr. Su's body to his fingertips in just 1 minute. I was really impressed by Gen Neishi for 3 days. Lu Chen really shocked me. Seeing that Su Shungyu finally returned to normal, Lu Chen exhaled a breath and said with a smile, "Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life." "Brother Lu Chen, is my grandfather okay?" Su Beizi's eyes were red from crying, and the pear blossoms were raining. "Don't worry, silly girl. Grandpa Su just fell asleep. He should wake up after a night's rest." "Wow, that's great, Brother Lu Chen. Senior Dugu, do you think we won this bet?" Lu Chen asked tentatively. Dugu Cheng had a moody temper, so even he had to be careful. "What do you think?" Dugu Zan asked. "Of course we won the bet, but this time it's a boy's trick. Senior Dugu's poison is truly unparalleled in the world. Even if my master Fengju comes here in person, I'm afraid there's nothing he can do to take advantage of Senior. Fortunately, the boy is better. I was lucky enough to get a wine bug in my life, so I narrowly defeated my senior. It was really a fluke." Lu Chen smiled slightly and flattered Dugu Zan. Dugu Zan's expression changed slightly. Lu Chen's flattery really touched his heart. "Ha ha ha, you are the best in the world, but you can save Su Shungyu from me. Such amazing medical skills are probably unparalleled in the world. It's amazing, amazing, and you will be feared in the future." Chu Feng's expression suddenly changed. He wanted to say something but didn't know how to say it. It was obviously Chu Feng who rescued Su Shungyu from Dugu Zan, and Lu Chen was just picking up the slack. "As a true man, I am willing to admit defeat. Can Senior allow us to leave the Su family safely?" Lu Chen asked tentatively. "It's natural, but I have to take away this wine worm. The wine worm contains the poison that I worked hard to refine. This must not be wasted," Dugu Zuru said in pain. Now, everyone knows Dugu Zan's true thoughts. Is he making a big fuss in the Su family just to get this drinking bug? "If you say you want it, we'll give it to you. The wine worms are at your disposal, Senior. I think even if Senior Su is conscious, he will be happy to give the wine worms to Senior Dugu." "Ha ha ha, I'll go first. I'm afraid the General Administration of Martial Arts has sent someone to arrest me." As soon as he finished speaking, the eye-catching black robe disappeared without a trace, leaving only the hoarse echo in the entire hall, which made people's scalp numb. "Lu Chen, I have offended many things in the past. I hope you will not remember the villain's fault. I, Ling Chongkong, promise that there will never be a next time." Ling Chongkong walked up to Lu Chen and said awkwardly. "Brother Ling is joking. I have never taken this matter to heart." Lu Chen smiled lightly, and his grudges were forgotten with a smile. Sure enough, a hero comes from a young age. I really want to thank Mr. Liu this time. If Mr. Liu needs my Lin family's place in the future, he will not refuse even if he asks me to do so. An old man stood up first and complimented. And my Luo family. Su Haoran couldn't help but feel embarrassed when he thought of what he had just done. If Lu Chen hadn't stepped forward in time, not only his father, but everyone here would have died. Chu Feng was the only one in the audience whose eyes turned red. It was obviously him who saved Su Shengyu, so he was the one they should fawn over. Chu Feng held back his anger and said, "Don't forget, everyone, who suppressed the poison in Senior Su's body in the first place. What you did is really chilling. If he hadn't suppressed the poison in Su Shengyu's body, how could Lu Chen have sucked out the poison so easily with the wine bug? He is the person this group of people should be grateful to the most, not Lu Chen, who is taking advantage." Ling Chongkong sneered and said, "Shut your mouth. If you hadn't made Du Guzan unhappy by talking nonsense, Senior Su wouldn't have drank the poison. You still dare to be so presumptuous here. It can be said that Senior Su's current situation is all due to your arrogance." Ling Chongkong pointed all the fingers at Chu Feng with one sentence. If they were a little grateful when they saw Chu Feng working so hard to heal Su Shengyu just a moment ago. So now the last trace of gratitude has dissipated, and it has completely turned into disgust and hatred. If Chu Feng hadn't been arrogant, they wouldn't have been threatened by Du Guzan, made a fool of themselves, and almost lost their lives. No matter how good-tempered Chu Feng is, he still gets angry when being scolded by strangers. "I tried my best to save you, but in the end you repaid me with kindness." Chu Feng grinned angrily and his whole body trembled. Master Fengju had warned him about the turbidity of the world long before he came, and he never imagined that people's hearts could be so sinister. People's hearts are not ancient. In that case, Chu Feng, let's go. Yi Wuhai stood up and said, he brought Chu Feng to the Su family for no reason. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to make Chu Feng famous and win over the Su family and other big families. In the end, all his plans were disrupted because of Du Gushu's appearance, and he finally got an advantage over Lu Chen. Chu Feng was stunned for a second, then gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Chen and asked, "Before I leave, I must understand one thing. Lu Chen, from whom did you learn acupuncture?" "Sure enough, did you take the bait?" Lu Chen smiled calmly and said, "Does this have anything to do with you?" How could it not matter? Lu Chen was so skilled in acupuncture, even compared to Chu Feng himself. Master Fengju once said that no one in the world could match his acupuncture skills except her. Lu Mo remained silent and did not answer Chu Feng's plan. Is it possible for Lu Chen to tell Chu Feng that he learned acupuncture from the system? Chu Feng looked at Lu Chen intently and said in a deep voice, "Did the master teach you this? Lu Chen, answer me." In the end, Chu Feng almost shouted. A hint of pathology was revealed in the depths of his eyes. Feng Ju only belonged to him. Although Chu Feng hid it very well, Lu Chen still keenly captured the strong murderous aura hidden in Chu Feng's eyes, the determination that would definitely break Lu Chen into pieces. Feng Ju was Chu Feng's untouchable counter-scale. No one is allowed to get involved, not even to covet. Isn't that right? The master taught me this. Why can I only allow the master to teach you? Lu Chen mocked jokingly, as if he was deliberately irritating Chu Feng. The corner of Chu Feng's mouth twitched, and his mouth felt as if he had eaten a fly. Lu Chen walked slowly beside Chu Feng and whispered in his ear like a devil, "Chu Feng, I will take away everything from you, your fiancée, your senior sister, and your most beloved one. Master." Chu Feng's eyes suddenly trembled, and he clenched his hands tightly. He gritted his teeth and said, "Lu Chen, just wait and see, I will also take away everything from you." Just when Chu Feng was about to leave, Lu Chen suddenly said, "Principal Lu, Director Yi, don't blame me, Lu Chen, for not reminding you that the only way to go against my Lu family is to die. Don't insist on self-destruction." Hearing this, Lu Yunxiao frowned deeply and felt a chill on his back. But Yi Wuhai responded with a cold smile, not taking Lu Chen's warning seriously at all. His Yi family has a great business, and it is also a big family that has been passed down for hundreds of years. If the Lu family wants to do anything to the Yi family, no matter what, both sides will lose. Fate. Really, I want to see what Mr. Lu can do to me. Yi Wuhai smiled disdainfully and said, "Don't think that just because you saved Su Shengyu by picking things up, you can make everyone look up to you. No matter what, after all, you, Lu Chen, are just a dandy with a lot of wealth but a lot of failures, and you don't even have the qualifications for him to take you seriously. But Chu Feng was different. In him, Yi Wuhai saw infinite possibilities. At the age of only 20, he had broken through to the 5th rank martial lord. His future would never stop here. Emperor Wu. Or maybe a warrior god. Yi Wuhai didn't dare to think, what did the Lu family mean in front of Chu Feng? Chu Feng's departure relieved the originally tense atmosphere. Many people left the venue silently after thanking Lu Chen. No one knows whether that old pervert Dugu Shu will come back with a killing blow. The corner of Su Beizi's lips curled up with excitement. She jumped to Lu Chen's side, gently took Lu Chen's arm and whispered softly, "Brother Lu Chen, it's all thanks to you this time. When Grandpa wakes up, you must take good care of him. Thank you." Lu Chen pinched Su Beizi's petite and delicate nose and said, "Beizi, there is actually still a little bit of the poison in Grandpa Su's body." "Ah, what should we do, Brother Lu Chen?" Su Beizi's eyes flickered slightly, and she looked at Lu Chen in confusion, with a look of worry on her fragile face. If the poison is not cleaned up, doesn't it mean that Su Shengyu's life is in danger at any time? "Don't worry, silly girl. I will help Grandpa Su remove the remaining poison from his body. But judging from Grandpa Su's current condition, it will take a few days. Otherwise, Grandpa Su's physical condition may not be able to bear it." "Well, Brother Lu Chen, I understand. Brother Lu Chen is the best." The little girl nodded slightly. Brother Lu Chen was definitely right. "In this case, I will go back first. If you have any questions, please contact me." "Okay then, see you Brother Lu Chen," Su Beizi said reluctantly, but she was still unwilling to let go of Lu Chen's arms, for fear that Lu Chen would disappear from her world again, and how desperate she would be. In fact, what Su Beizi didn't know was that the poison in Su Shengyu's body had been completely eliminated. Otherwise, just a little bit of the poison would be enough to kill Su Shengyu. The reason why Lu Chen said this was to let Su Jiaming remember his kindness. After Lu Chen left the Su family, a cold voice suddenly sounded behind him. "Lu Chen, please wait a moment." Lu Chen turned around and looked around, only to see a snowy face that was gentle and soft, with exquisite and beautiful eyes that were clear and transparent. Isn't this charming girl Qin Muyan? Qin Muyan is wearing a white-pink long dress. The fine waistband perfectly outlines her slim waist. Her round and jade legs are straight and slender. Sai Xuechenhan's fair face is as delicate as a work of art. With a little flaw, her eyes are captivating and can make any man's heart flutter. Just after that night at the Lu family, Qin Muyan had lost her youthful temperament and gradually developed towards the royal sister. It turns out to be Miss Qin. I wonder what Miss Qin does. Lu Chen looked displeased. He had no good impression of a self-righteous woman like Qin Muyan. He had many things to do and had no time to chat with Qin Muyan. Qin Muyan's expression and eyes were slightly unmoved. Lu Chen's unfamiliar title made Qin Muyan feel very uncomfortable. "Why, even if I talk to you now, do you find me annoying?" "Haha, wasn't your attitude towards me the same in the past?" Lu Chen's retort instantly made Qin Muyan speechless. Was she like this before? "If you have anything to say, tell me quickly. I'm in a hurry," Lu Chen said with an unhappy look on his face. "Lu Chen, I just want to ask about your relationship with Su Beizi." Qin Muyan bit her teeth gently and clenched her pink fists, mustering up the courage to step forward and ask. The moment he said it, Qin Muyan felt like the world was spinning and he felt ashamed. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He didn't expect Qin Muyan to care about this kind of issue. "This doesn't seem to have anything to do with you, does it? Su Beizi likes me, you know this." Lu Chen smiled playfully and said, "Who would have thought that Qin Muyan would ask such a question? Could it be that he likes him?" "So you also like Su Beizi? In other words, compared to Su Beizi and me, who do you like more, Lu Chen?" Qin Muyan raised her eyes and looked into Lu Chen's deep eyes, waiting for his answer. "Qin Muyan, are you worthy of being compared with Su Beizi? Wake up, I really don't know what you are being noble about. That's too much. Qin Muyan, you are not even qualified to carry Su Beizi's shoes." After Lu Chen finished speaking, he turned around and left, never looking at Qin Muyan again. Qin Muyan froze on the spot in surprise, her pink lips moving slightly, her beautiful eyes full of disbelief. Lu Chen's words pierced into her heart like an ice pick. Today, she dressed up carefully to please Lu Chen, but Lu Chen didn't even look at her. The appearance that she was most proud of was now worthless in Lu Chen's eyes. Lu Chen went too far and trampled his dignity under his feet, ruthlessly ravaging it. Lu Chen obviously gave his body to, but now he is so determined. Tisk, Lu Chen, you really deserve to die. Lu family. After Lu Chen returned to the Lu family, he was not in a hurry to return to the villa, but went directly to the back mountain of the Lu family. After avoiding everyone, Lu Chen came to a barren mountain surrounded by lush vegetation and silence. Lu Chen paused and said with a smile, "Senior Dugu has followed me all the way, why don't you come out and see him?" As soon as Lu Chen finished speaking, a hunched black figure appeared in front of him like a ghost. The person who came was clearly Dugu Shu. Dugu Chuzan sneered and said, "Jia Jia Jia, I have underestimated you after all. I am really surprised that a mere 4th grade martial arts master can discover my existence." Lu Chen was not surprised at all by Dugu Shu's appearance. No matter how stupid this guy is, he should have found some clues. There was no look of fear or panic on Lu Chen's face. Instead, he said very calmly, "Senior Dugu, Yi Wuhai has returned to the General Administration of Martial Arts. At this time, you should report your news to the senior officials of Dragon Kingdom. If you don't leave, according to reports, the higher-ups have sent Emperor Wu to arrest you and bring you to justice. If you don't flee Yanjing, why would you come to my Lu family instead?" Dugu Shu's cloudy old eyes suddenly sank at this moment, and an unprecedented cold murderous aura suddenly condensed, locking Lu Chen's thin and frail body tightly, making it extremely difficult for him to breathe. Lu Chen's eyes widened, and his face quickly turned pale and weak in pain. He couldn't use any force in his body, and his legs collapsed and he knelt on the ground. "You are the first one who can make me look like a fool." Dugu's eyes face full of ravines was filled with a heart-stopping gloom, and his old voice was full of coldness and viciousness. In the pain of suffocation, Lu Chen twisted his face and struggled, "Dugu. Senior, why is this? Ha ha ha, you're such a good boy, you're so stubborn when you're about to die, and you pretend to be confused for me. If that's the case, then I'll let you die in a more understanding way. I want to ask you, was it your fault that Su Shengyu vomited blood in the end?" "Yes." Lu Chen did not quibble, and simply admitted directly, because he really couldn't hold it anymore, and the pressure of the martial emperor realm was enough to crush his bones. "You gave the wine bug to that old man Su Shengyu as a birthday gift. Did you already guess that I would show up at his birthday party?" "Yes." "Ha ha ha, sure enough. Then this wine bug is the bait to lure me into taking the bait. It is a powerful move to drive away tigers and devour wolves. Do you want to use my help to get rid of Su Shengyu?" "No." "Well?" Dugu Shu narrowed his eyes slightly and sneered. "Is it possible that I guessed wrong? I never thought about killing Su Shengyu. I did all this just to use Senior Dugu's reputation to shock these so-called famous nobles and let them know again that I, Lu Chen, am not a mediocre person who lives a free and easy life." Lu Chen's eyes were splitting, roared with grief and anger. "And my blind master, I want to prove that I am hundreds of times, thousands of times better than that bastard Chu Feng." Dugu Shu finally understood the reason why Lu Chen used him. Just now in the Su family, before Lu Chen showed his strength, most of the people treated him with disdain, and even his peers did not give him any face. What Lu Chen did turned out to be to change other people's prejudices against him. Dugu Shu's pressure gradually weakened until it disappeared. Lu Chen raised his head, stood up slowly, and asked weakly, "Senior, won't you kill me?" "HMPH, kid, don't play tricks with me. Since you dared to lure me to this deserted mountain, shouldn't you have expected that I won't do anything to you?" "Sure enough, I can't hide anything from Senior." Lu Chen spread his hands and said helplessly. Dugu Shu began to formally examine Lu Chen. Lu Chen was very scheming. He didn't look like a waste in the eyes of everyone, but more like a lone wolf waiting for an opportunity. Even Dugu Shu was vaguely aware of Lu Chen. A hint of strange danger. "Since Senior is not here to kill me, then why did Senior follow me all the way?" "Of course I'm here for your master. Where is she hiding now?" When Feng Zhu was mentioned, Dugu Cheng's voice became cold to the bone, which showed how much he hated Feng Zhu. "Senior, are you seeking revenge?" Seeing that Dugu Shu was silent, Lu Chen continued, "If Senior Dugu wants to seek revenge on Feng Zhu, I advise Senior not to seek suicide. With your strength, You are not even qualified to yell at her. Boy, what are you talking about? Do you even want to tease me? Dugu Shu was really angry this time. His hands like dead branches clenched Lu Chen's throat and pinched Lu Chen high. 5 shocking blood marks suddenly appeared on Lu Chen's neck. Lu Chen rolled his eyes in pain, his whole body was trembling, and he was about to faint. Seeing that Lu Chen was about to faint, Dugu Zan suddenly threw Lu Chen's body out, and Lu Chen's back hit the huge rock not far behind him. Lu Chen groaned and collapsed to the ground, as the huge rock suddenly collapsed and fell to the ground. After a long time, Lu Chen's expression gradually softened. He tried his best to sit up and lean on the broken rock and said with a sad smile, "Why, Senior Dugu, don't you really think that your poison is the best in the world and you will never meet an opponent? Even I can easily undo the poison you are proud of, let alone Feng Zhu. You shouldn't use her to anger me, let alone insult my poison skills, otherwise I won't mind killing you. Why are you so angry? I'm just stating a fact. Feng Zhu has already broken through to the realm of martial arts demigod, and is only one step away from the realm of martial arts true god. For her, she only needs an opportunity to break through. And you, ahem. You don't need me to say more, right?" Dugu Shu's face turned pale. That bitch Feng Zhu actually broke through to the realm of martial arts demigod. How can this be? In his entire life, Dugu Shi has not yet reached the threshold of the martial arts demigod realm. But that woman had already left herself far behind. Dugixu, who has always been proud, will never allow this to happen. He must do something about this. Dugu Shu slowly closed his abyss-like eyes and said coldly, Dugu Shu suggested coldly, "Since we have a common enemy, we might as well cooperate and deal with it together." Cooperation? Senior Dugu, you injured me without saying a word, and now you want to talk about cooperation with me, it's too ridiculous. Lu Chen interrupted Dugu Shu with a sneer, a forced smile on his face. Dugu Shu seriously injured himself without saying a word, and now he wants to cooperate with him. How is this possible? Don't be ignorant, kid. Here you go. Dugu Shu threw a small bottle of elixir to Lu Chen and said, "This is a blood-suppressing pill. It can reduce your injuries. It is also my apology to you." Lu Chen took the elixir from Dugu Zan's hand, took one out of it and drank it without ceremony. Zhenshui pill is a 4th-grade elixir that can not only suppress blood and heal injuries, but also replenish the body's physical strength. Dugu Shu is really willing to give it up. Dugu Chengshen's cold eyes squinted at Lu Chen. "I can help you kill Chu Feng, and as a price, you must break through the 8th-level demigod realm within 30 years and help me kill Feng Zhu." 30 years? Senior. Lu Chen sneered. Dugu Shu looked displeased. 30 years was already the maximum time limit he could give Lu Chen. If he couldn't break through to the 8th-grade demigod realm within 30 years, it would be even more impossible in the future. Lu Chen sneered and vowed. 30 years? Who do you look down on, senior? Give me 5 years, and I won't be able to reach the realm of a true god of martial arts. Dugu Cheng's pupils shrank sharply, and his heart was already filled with turmoil. One can imagine how shocking Lu Chen's words were. Seeing Dugu Cheng's jaw-dropping expression, Lu Chen explained, "Senior Dugu may not know that my martial arts training 2 months ago was only a 2nd-grade warrior." Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Your current cultivation level is at least the 4th level of Wuzong. How can you cross 2 realms in just 2 months? Are you trying to tease me again? Dugu's eyes ravaged face was filled with shock. If what Lu Chen said is true, this talent is even more evil than a monster. What kind of monster did he provoke today? There was no turmoil in Lu Chen's eyes, but his face clearly showed an unprecedented arrogance. How could this be the dandy young master that everyone had seen before? Boy Lu, I'll wait and see. Don't let me down. Dugu Zan turned around and was about to leave. Lu Chen stopped Dugu Zan and said, "Senior Dugu, please wait. Are you going to find Chu Feng?" "Of course, since I made a promise, I won't break it." "Senior, I will take Chu Feng's life myself, so I won't bother you, senior. Besides, Chu Feng has great luck. I can use him to find opportunities for me. I will spare his life for the time being. But if you don't mind, senior, please deal with Lu Yunxiao for me first. It's time to change the position of principal of the Martial Arts Academy." Dugu Shu snorted coldly, very dissatisfied with the tone of Lu Chen's order, but he didn't say anything. After all, Lu Chen was his only hope of defeating Feng Zhu. After Du Gushu left, Lu Chen spurted out a mouthful of blood, dyeing half of his clothes bright red. The old guy's attack is really not serious. Just wait. When I break through to the realm of martial arts demigod, I will sacrifice you to the sky. I'll give you face and call you senior, but if I don't give you face, I'll turn your bones into ashes. Lu Chen crushed the blood-suppressing pill in his hand, then opened the system space, exchanged 20,000 life points for a 6th-grade blood-replenishing pill and swallowed it. Lu Chen gasped and closed his eyes immediately, adjusting the chaotic qi in his body. A quarter of an hour later. By the way, system, how much of Chu Feng's luck is exhausted? Chu Feng did not receive any substantial help from the Su family's birthday banquet. Lu Chen even stole the limelight from Chu Feng. In this case, Chu Feng's luck should be running out, right? A cold mechanical voice came from his mind. Chu Feng's luck is still 90%. The host still needs to keep working hard. You must not just wait for death and sit still. 90%? Lu Chen felt doubtful in his heart and couldn't bear it anymore. Go Tongzi, are you kidding me? I have paid so much, how could Chu Feng's luck only drop by 10%? Chu Feng, as the son of destiny, is protected by the law of heaven. When it comes to destiny, the gods and ghosts are unpredictable, the secrets of heaven are difficult to determine, and the system has no solution. Therefore, the host can only rely on itself to continue to become stronger and suppress the destiny of the son of destiny. Lu Chen lowered his eyebrows and said nothing, looking at the destiny points he had accumulated on the system panel, 300,000, which should be enough to deal with the current Chu Feng, right? The next day, the Lu family was also extremely lively today. The Special Operations Team of the Yanjing Martial Arts Bureau had completely sealed off the Lu family and surrounded the Lu family villa. Last night, Lu Yunxiao, the principal of Yanjing Martial Arts Academy, died in his home. This was undoubtedly like a thunder that exploded Yanjing into a pot of porridge. The famous 6th-grade martial arts expert Lu Yunxiao died tragically at home like this. Countless people lamented that such a heroic figure would end his life in such a dramatic way. According to insiders, Lu Yunxiao died in a very miserable condition. When he was found, only a white skeleton was left, and the rest of his flesh and bones were eaten away by unknown things, leaving him unrecognizable. Lu Yunxiao is a kind-hearted person and is loved by students. He has never had any enmity with anyone. The only conflict he had was the disagreement he had with Lu Chen at the Su family yesterday. Lu Chen said harshly at that time. The only result of going against the Lu family is death. This is also why the Special Operations Team of the Martial Arts Bureau appeared at the Lu family. They were obviously trying to arrest Lu Chen and bring him back for trial. Lu Chen was sleepy-eyed. He was having a sweet dream when he was woken up by the maid Xiao Mu in a panic. When he went out, he saw that it was Yi Wuhai from the Martial Arts Bureau arriving. At this time, the Lu family's villa was crowded with people, mostly servants watching the fun. But Lu Wanqing was also among them. Unexpectedly, Lu Chen actually killed Lu Yunxiao. If the crime was proven, Lu Chen would definitely go to jail. For Lu Wanqing, the position of head of the Lu family is not something that can be easily obtained. Yi Wuhai and Chu Feng were both glaring at this moment, and the anger in their eyes was clearly visible. Lu Chen knew clearly in his heart that it seemed that the old guy Dugu Zan had succeeded. He is indeed a strong man in the realm of the martial emperor. He can take Lu Yunxiao's life without anyone noticing under the eyes of the Yanjing Martial Arts Bureau. With such ability, how many of the public warriors in Yanjing can do it? Why is Director Yi doing this? Why did he break into my Lu family with such force? Lu Chenhao said angrily, as if he didn't get a good rest last night. Chu Feng said with heartbreaking grief, Lu Chen, you must have killed Principal Lu. What? Principal Lu is dead. When did it happen? Lu Chen lost his voice in grief, his heart hurt like a knife, as if he had lost someone extremely important to him. Young Master Lu Chen is acting hypocritically here. Principal Lu's death must have something to do with you. You made unscrupulous threats at the Su family yesterday, and Principal Lu was brutally murdered that night. Who else could it be if it weren't for you? Chu Feng shouted at the top of his lungs. In his opinion, Lu Chen was the culprit who killed Lu Yunxiao. This was an undoubted fact. Chu Feng, you are still as brainless as ever, I warn you. I'm warning you to be careful what you say, or I'll sue you for libel. Director Yi, you won't conclude that Lu Yunxiao's death has something to do with me just because of Chu Feng's few words, right? Lu Chen shrugged helplessly. Lu Chen is still pretending to be stupid. You killed Principal Lu just because of me. You wanted to use this to scare those who want to be friends with me, but don't you think you went too far? Principal Lu has never offended you. Chu Feng roared with all his strength, clenching his hands tightly, and his bones kept making clicking sounds, which showed how irritating Lu Yunshao's death was to him. Lu Chen complained helplessly. In that case, why don't I just kill you? Wouldn't it be easier to kill you? Chu Feng was immediately speechless, and Lu Chen's words made him silent for a long time. Yes, why didn't Lu Chen just kill him? Instead, he went to great lengths to kill Lu Yunxiao, who was more difficult to deal with than him. Yi Wuhai's heart trembled, and his face was filled with unprecedented solemnity. Lu Chen was so cunning that he didn't expect it. It's harder to deal with than he thought, Yi Wuhai said in a deep voice. Then how can you prove that this matter has nothing to do with you? Come with us obediently. I advise you to cooperate with our investigation honestly, otherwise even the Lu family will not be able to protect you. I won't do the stupid thing of beating a police officer and arresting him, but I won't go to jail unjustly. I can cooperate with the Martial Arts Bureau's investigation, but you have to think about the consequences of slandering me. Even the Martial Arts Bureau is afraid of the consequences of this. I can't even afford it. Lu Chen said word by word, raising his eyes contemptuously to look at Chu Feng and Yi Wuhai, as if he was provoking them. Yi Wuhai said angrily, the Emperor's crimes are the same as those of the common people. What's more, it's you, Lu Chen, even if the arrest is wrong, you will never be allowed to go unpunished. Yi Wuhai scolded tyrannically. As if the Special Operations Team of the Martial Arts Bureau had received an order, several members locked Lu Chen tightly and prevented him from moving at all. Lu Chen had to raise his hands and surrender. Resisting now was tantamount to adding more charges to himself. Lu Wanqing, who was watching the excitement from the side, secretly rejoiced. Ha, Lu Chen never thought you would be here today, you really deserve it. What should we do? The young master is going to be captured. Compared to Lu Wanqing's gloating, most of the servants were even more nervous and pale. Before I leave, I have some things to explain, Xiao Mu, Lu Chen called softly. The maid named Xiao Mu squeezed her head out of the crowd and said in a panic, Master. Xiao Mu was not only Lu Chen's personal maid, but also the person he trusted most among them. Lu Chen walked slowly to Xiao Mu and whispered in her ear. When Uncle Cheng comes back, tell Uncle Cheng for me, let him. Have you understood? Xiao Mu nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Master, Xiao Mu understands. When Butler Cheng comes back, I will tell him exactly what you told him. Lu Chen nodded with satisfaction, turned around and said with a smile. Let's go, Director Yi. I hope Director Yi can restore my innocence. Close the team. Yes. After Lu Chen was taken away, Lu Wanqing immediately questioned Xiao Mu about what Lu Chen had secretly said in her ear. Xiao Mu told the truth. Young master, he asked me to tell Butler Cheng to go to the sus house. He said that he can't go to the sus house for the time being. Lu Wanqing frowned slightly and clucked her tongue in gloating. Tisk, tisk, are you going to say your final farewell to that vixen Su Beizi? Lu Chen, you won't be able to fly this time, haha. Director Yi, why is this? I am just a suspect, not the criminal you want to arrest. What is the difference between this and torture to extract a confession? Lu Chen looked at the chains on his hands and the special shackles on his feet, and couldn't help but frown and said coldly. I advise you to be sensible and tell everything you know. Maybe the Martial Arts Bureau will be lenient and reduce your punishment. Director Yi, I don't understand what you are saying. I, Lu Chen, walk in the world upright and above board. How can I be punished? Lu Chen frowned without a red face and a heartbeat. You still dare to say that Lu Yunshao's death has nothing to do with you? Everyone can associate his death with you. Of course, I am the most suspected of Principal Lu's death, but I am not a fool. Killing Lu Yunxiao at the cusp of the storm, isn't this like jumping into a pit of fire? Lu Chen asked in a deep voice. Director Yi, do you think this is Chu Feng? He slandered me, haha. Lu Chen, you. Yi Wuhai was furious and slammed the table angrily. As a suspect, he dared to sow discord. Obviously everyone believed that Lu Chen was responsible for Lu Yunshao's death, but they had no evidence to prove this. Director Yi, don't get excited. Have you forgotten something? That guy Du Shu is still at large. Do you think Lu Yunshao's death might have something to do with him? Yi Wuhai looked at Lu Shen in surprise, Those unfathomable dark eyes like an abyss. Wan Ji Yu poison master Dugu Shi. I'm afraid only the top warriors from the 4 major families in Yanjing could kill Lu Yunxiao without anyone noticing, as well as Dugu Shu, who has been at large so far. Could it be that it was really Dugu Shu? If it was him, then why weren't there any assassins in the Su family at that time? Lu Chen's words made the cause of Lu Yunxiao's death become confusing. How is Senior Yi? Did Lu Chen explain? Seeing Yi Wuhai walking out of the interrogation room dejectedly, Xu Feng couldn't wait to step forward and ask. Yi Wuhai shook his head. He interrogated Lu Chen for 2.5 hours, but he couldn't get any useful information from Lu Chen. Xu Feng gritted his teeth and said, Senior Yi, Principal Lu has treated me well. I can't let him die in peace. Let me go in and interrogate Lu Chen. Maybe I can ask something. Yi Wuhai frowned. Xu Feng was not a member of the Martial Arts Bureau, and it was not in line with the rules to interrogate suspects. After thinking for a long time, Yi Wuhai nodded solemnly and said, Okay, Lu Chenjiao will be given to you first. Don't abuse lynching, otherwise it will be difficult for the Lu family to explain. Xu Feng pushed open the door of the interrogation room, and Lu Chen couldn't help but raise his eyes. He was also deeply surprised when he saw that the person coming was Xu Feng. Maybe Yi Wuhai, the director of the Martial Arts Bureau, doesn't want to do this anymore, right? Lu Chen took the lead and said, Okay, Xu Feng, you still dare to appear in front of me. Others don't know, but I know that you must be the one who killed Lu Yunxiao. Lu Chen, are you so heartbroken and crazy? Xu Feng looked on coldly. Ha ha ha, am I crazy? To slander me, Xu Feng, you are really capable of anything now. Lu Yunxiao treats you well, and even took you in when you were desperate. You actually killed Senior Lu in order to get revenge on me. Xu Feng, you are simply not as good as your words. You are the one who makes the most of your words. The corners of Xu Feng's mouth kept twitching, and he cursed in a deep voice. Lu Chen, you do have a good set of teeth. I wonder if you can spit out fragrance like this if I tear your mouth to pieces. Lu Chen, although I don't know what method you used to kill Senior Lu without leaving any clues, but I will definitely find evidence and send you to the 18th level of hell. Xu Feng said word by word, and he could tell that he very confident. The 18th level of hell is where the Yanjing Martial Arts Bureau detains prisoners. The prison is impregnable. If Lu Chen is imprisoned, he will never escape. Really? I want to see what you can do to me. I didn't kill Lu Yunxiao. If you don't believe it, you can go to hell and ask him. Lu Chen raised his eyes as deep as the abyss, looking at Xu Feng like a poisonous scorpion, and the corners of his mouth curved in a strange way. What Lu Chen said was the truth. Lu Yunxiao was killed by Dugu Shu. What does it have to do with him? Xu Feng gritted his teeth, snorted coldly, leaned towards Lu Chen, and punched Lu Chen in the lower abdomen. Lu Chen, you don't deserve to mention Senior Lu's name. You will stay here until the truth comes out. Xu Feng, you are still as impulsive as ever. Lu Chen smiled as if he had succeeded. All this seemed to be what Lu Chen had expected. Lu Chen immediately spat out a mouthful of blood and sprayed it all over Xu Feng. Then he fell to the ground with a depressed expression. Xu Feng looked at Lu Chen, who fell to the ground with dull eyes. Although he was very angry, he was not carried away by his anger. Even ordinary warriors could withstand the strength Xu Feng used just now with their physical fitness. All this is Lu Chen's disguise. Xu Feng gritted his teeth and said, Lu Chen, do you know how to use these despicable methods and have the guts to fight in an upright manner? Xu Feng's character was hurt. He was shocked by the host's shamelessness, and gained 50,000 life points. Close black lens bracket. Current destiny value. 350,000. We will use this method to record the changes in destiny value later, which is more convenient. Lu Chen cursed secretly in his heart. Is this shameless? Bah, dog system. Xu Feng is obviously impressed by my intelligence. On the other side of the interrogation room, everyone fell into silence as they looked at Lu Chen, who was vomiting blood on the large electronic screen, looking depressed and lying on the ground. They seemed to be in trouble. If they dared to lynch Lu Chen, the consequences would be beyond their estimation. Senior Yi, Lu Chen, he. Xu Feng pointed at Lu Chen, who looked depressed, and said angrily. Xu Feng, I remember I have already reminded you, that's all. You should go out first. This matter has nothing to do with you. Yi Wuhai shook his head. The matter has come to this, and it is useless to say more. Yi Wuhai, are you planning to protect Chu Feng? He injured me and let's just forget about it? Lu Chen growled, but his hand covering his chest never fell. Yi Wuhai glanced at Lu Chen indifferently, and said indifferently, Chu Feng is not from our martial arts bureau, how can he protect him? Ha ha ha. The old man has no shame. Lu Chen couldn't stop laughing wildly. Since Chu Feng is not from your martial arts bureau, then why does he appear here and interrogate me with all his strength? Snort. Yi Wuhai snorted coldly and did not explain too much. After all, he was unreasonable and it was indeed Chu Feng who did it. Director Yi is in trouble. The old head of the Su family, Su Shengyu, led a group of martial saints to break in. It seems to be for Lu Chen. At this time, a person rushed into the interrogation room in a panic and reported the situation excitedly. Yi Wuhai's face darkened. What kind of trouble was this in the Su family? Lu Chen was arrested, and it was the Lu family who came to rescue him. What does it have to do with your Su family? Yi Wuhai's face darkened slightly. Lu Chen, although I don't know how you bewitched Su Shengyu, it is impossible to get rid of suspicion. I advise you to tell everything you know. Director Yi, isn't it my injury that you should be concerned about now? I feel like I'm going to die. Lu Chen said weakly, looking like he was about to die, not taking Yi Wuhai's warning seriously at all. Yi Wuhai's face suddenly became dark and uncertain, and the corners of his mouth twitched violently. He snorted coldly and walked away. He wanted to see what the old immortal Su Shengyu was up to. After Yi Wuhai left, Lu Chen chuckled, as if everything was in his calculations. Before he was captured, he asked Cheng Yuyang to tell the Su family that the poison in Su Shengyu's body might not be cleared out in time, and the only way for Su Shengyu would be death. In order to survive, Su Shengyu would naturally try his best to rescue him from the martial arts bureau. Yi Wuhai hurriedly left the interrogation room. Su Shengyu could not neglect him. Although Su Shengyu was already paralyzed, Emperor Wu was extremely weak. To put it too much, it is actually no different from a dead person. But his connections are by no means comparable to Yi Wuhai's, and offending Su Shengyu is definitely not a wise move. Yi Wuhai left the martial arts bureau and saw Su Shengyu sitting in a wheelchair. Behind him were a group of strong martial saints from the Su family. Counting them down, there were 12 people. This was almost all the martial saints from the Su family. They're all gathered here. Yi Wuhai squeezed his sweat and said with a smile, Senior Su, why did you suddenly visit the martial arts bureau? Young Master Yi Wuhai is pretending to be confused here. Let Lu Chen go quickly. Su Shengyu raised his cloudy old eyes and said coldly. Yi Wuhai suddenly said, You made a big fuss in the martial arts bureau because of Lu Shen. What's the matter? If the senior martial arts officials knew that you were doing this, I'm afraid your prestige would plummet. Su Shengyu's voice was calm and difficult as he said, I'm going to die, and I still care about my prestige. If I let Lu Chen go, I owe you a favor. Yi Wuhai refused. I can't let Lu Chen go. He is suspected of killing Lu Yunxiao. How can this matter be let go easily? Suspected? What about the evidence? The martial arts bureau can't just arrest people without evidence, right? Su Shengyu slowly closed his eyes and asked in a deep voice. To be honest, this evidence is still under investigation. Investigation is nothing. How dare you arrest Yi Wuhai without evidence? Su Shengyu suddenly opened his old eyes, glared at Yi Wuhai and cursed. Seeing that Su Shengyu was unreasonable, Yi Wuhai had no intention of trying to persuade him. Yi Wuhai frowned and said, I'm just following the rules. The Martial Arts Bureau has the right to arrest him for interrogation. Lu Chen must accept our investigation. Okay, in that case, I will accompany you to interrogate Mr. Lu Chen. If you dare to do anything outrageous, don't blame me for being merciless. Help me in. Su Shengyuki trembled all over. Yes, Dad, please calm down, it's not worth getting angry over Lu Chen. Su Haoran advised from behind the wheelchair. Su Haoran is the current head of the Su family, the son of Su Shengyu. I mentioned it before. I'm afraid everyone will forget, so I'd like to remind you. Su Shengyu turned his head and rolled his eyes at him, but said nothing. Then, regardless of Yi Wuhai's obstruction, a group of martial saints forced their way into the Martial Arts Bureau. When Su Shengyu saw Lu Shenao lying on the ground with a depressed expression, vortexes of true energy lingered around Su Shengyu's body, and the air even began to twist. It was obvious that Su Shengyu was angry. Su Shengyu locked his eyes on Yi Wuhai, and the pressure swept away from Yi Wuhai. Su Shengyu gritted his teeth and said, "Yi Wuhai, aren't you going to explain what's going on? When did the Martial Arts Bureau be given the right to abuse lynching?" "Senior Su, I'm sorry, all of this is Lu Chen's disguise." "Grandpa Su. Are you here to save me?" When Lu Chen heard Su Shengyu's voice, he raised his eyes and spoke weakly, directly interrupting Yi Wuhai's sophistry. "Don't be afraid, Mr. Lu. I'm here today and no one can force you to confess without evidence." Su Shengyu said forcefully, "Lu Chen is safe today. Tell Grandpa who hurt you, I will make the decision for you." "It's Chu Feng. I stole his limelight at your birthday banquet, so he was resentful and just attacked me with Yi Wuhai's acquiescence." "Lu Chen, you fart, you obviously killed Lu Yunxiao." It was detected that Su Shengyu had a grudge against Chu Feng, the son of destiny. Chu Feng's luck was damaged and he gained 20,000 destiny points. Close black lens bracket. Current destiny value: 370,000. Yi Wuhai, I still say the same thing, you have to pay attention to evidence when speaking. What evidence do you have to prove that Lu Chen killed Lu Yunxiao? With Lu Chen's strength, Lu Yunxiao would kill him like a chicken. Do you think Lu Chen can kill Lu Yunxiao, who is at the peak of the 6th grade martial saint? Yi Wuhai muttered, "Senior Su, Lu Chen said harsh words at your birthday banquet, and brother Yunxiao died mysteriously that night. Don't you think it's suspicious?" "HMPH, what you said seems a bit suspicious. Let's interrogate according to the procedure." "But I have to stay here with Mr. Lu. Before the truth comes out, I want to see who dares to touch him." Yi Wuhai looked at Lu Chen silently, wondering what he was thinking. Outside the interrogation room, noises were heard. "Oh no, Director Yi. The Lu family is here to ask for someone." Yi Wuhai became angry and said, "Let the Lu family wait, I am interrogating Lu Chen." As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful voice like thunder came from the horizon. "Yi Wuhai, if my son commits a crime, even if he dies, he will die unjustly. If he is imprisoned unjustly, our Lu family will definitely vent their anger on him. For your Yi family, when the time comes, either you die or I die." Lu Chen murmured excitedly. "Dad." In the interrogation room, everyone looked at each other in shock and dumbfounded. A group of powerful martial saints were so frightened that they turned pale. Is this voice Lu Zhanyuan? Lu Zhanyuan actually came out of seclusion at this time? Could it be that he has successfully broken through to the 7th grade martial emperor? Compared with Lu Chen's surprise, more people were frightened. Because they understand the meaning of the 7th grade martial emperor realm. The emperor was angry and blood flowed thousands of miles. Even for Su Shengyu, who was paralyzed, all the wealthy nobles in Yanjing still had to show their dignity and respectfully come to celebrate his birthday. In this world of martial arts with weak spiritual power, in the entire Dragon Kingdom, except for the old monsters from the mountains who have no interest in worldly affairs, there are only a handful of strong people in the realm of 7th grade martial emperors, and there are only more than 100 strong 6th grade martial saints, which is enough to show how rare martial emperors are. When the martial saint reaches the realm of martial emperor, his identity will become the secret of the Dragon Kingdom. Hao Ren, push me out. I can't remember how long it has been since I last saw Lu Zhanyuan. Su Shengyu said in a daze, as if he was deep in memories. Yes, Dad. Wu Sheng of the Su family supported Lu Chen and lifted him up from the cold floor. A sharp sword energy struck Lu Chen's anklet and the chain that bound him on his hand. Sporadic sparks shot out from the iron chain, and the chain broke. Land. This time Yi Wuhai didn't stop him. The moment Lu Zhanyuan broke through to the realm of Emperor Wu, the outcome was already doomed. Lu Chen stretched his body and said with a smile, "Doesn't Director Yi want to know the truth? Then I will tell you with mercy. In fact, what I said is true. The real murderer of Lu Yunxiao was Dugu Shu, haha." This time Yi Wuhai believed it because Lu Shenwei had to continue to hide it. Even if Lu Chen admitted that Lu Yunxiao was killed by himself, there was nothing he could do against Lu Chen. In order to win over a strong martial emperor like Lu Zhanyuan, the top martial arts officials would not have pardoned Lu Chen, and would have been better off not impeaching themselves. Lu Chen. Did you ask Dugu Zan to kill Lu Yunxiao? Lu Chen smiled and said nothing. He was not stupid enough to admit such a thing and gain hatred for himself. Lu Chen walked out of the interrogation room and met Chu Feng head-on. Lu Chen sneered as he passed by Chu Feng and left in a swaggering manner. Before leaving, he did not forget to give Chu Feng a provocative smile. After watching Lu Chen leave, Chu Feng rushed into the interrogation room. He tried his best to control the anger in his heart and asked in a cold voice, "Senior Yi, why did you let Lu Chen go like this?" It was obviously the Principal Lu whom Lu Chen killed. "Chu Feng, please calm down. Whether it is the Su family or the Lu family, this behemoth that has been developing in Yanjing for 100 years cannot be brought down by me alone. The only one who can avenge Brother Lu is you. When you break through to the realm of Martial Emperor, the Lu family will crawl at your feet like ants, begging you to show your kindness." Yi Wuhai longed for the day when Chu Feng broke through Emperor Wu, and hoped that day would not be too late. "Senior Yi, isn't the Yi family behind you?" Yi Wuhai is the younger brother of the head of the Yi family. With the support of the Yi family, the Lu family will not dare to do anything, Chu Feng thinks. Yi family? They won't bet their future and destiny. They can put all their money on you like me and put the future of Yi family on you. Talking about the Yi family, Yi Wuhai suddenly laughed uncontrollably and looked at Chu Feng with complicated eyes. In his eyes, the Yi family is just a bunch of weaklings and cowards. What's the use? But, Lu Chen clearly. Chu Feng roared and roared like an out-of-control beast, with nowhere to express his desolate heart. "It's nothing, this world is so cruel. We warriors have made rules in order to restrain our behavior and not abuse force. But in front of the truly strong, the rules are nothing more than a piece of paper. So, Chu Feng, you have to continue to become strong, so strong that everyone looks up to you, then you are the only rule. Senior Yi, I will definitely avenge Principal Lu, and I will make Lu Chen and Dugu Zan pay a heavy price." Chu Feng knew that no matter what he said at this moment, he could not change the outcome. He held his palms tightly and made up his mind. Yi Wuhai smiled happily, and continued, "In order to prevent Lu Chen from harming you, I will ask a martial emperor to come out tomorrow. He was Lu Yunxiao and I's original teacher. He will protect you secretly as the dean of the Martial Arts Academy." Emperor Wu. Chu Feng was surprised. There were only a handful of powerful Emperor Wu in Yanjing. Yi Wuhai actually begged a strong martial emperor to protect him. How could he not be grateful? Chu Feng burst into tears with gratitude and said, "Thank you, Senior Yi. I will definitely live up to Senior's high expectations." Outside the Martial Arts Bureau, dozens of figures of martial saints stood in midair, exuding terrifying pressure that made the people below breathless. These people were wearing gray Taoist robes, and they were obviously strong men from the Lu family. I saw the leader, with eyebrows like arrows and eyes like falcons. His black eyes were always filled with a murderous aura, and his piercing gaze was like a sharp sword. He was like a god of murder that made people dare not look directly at him. It's Lu Chen's father, Lu Zhanyuan. Lu Zhanyuan stood in the air with his hands behind his back, looking down with lowered eyebrows and squinted eyes, with a cold light flashing from time to time in his eyes, waiting for Lu Shen to appear. Since Lu Zhanyuan dared to appear in the Martial Arts Bureau, he was naturally sure that Lu Chen had nothing to do with Lu Yunxiao's death. Because these days, all the elders of the Lu family are waiting for him to come out of seclusion, and they are unable to help Lu Chen kill Lu Yunxiao. With Lu Chen's strength, how could he possibly kill Lu Yunxiao? The moment Lu Zhanyuan saw Su Shengyu, Emperor Wu's pressure immediately dropped. In terms of age, Su Shengyu was the superior, and in terms of force, Su Shengyu was also the superior. It was really disrespectful to provoke martial arts in front of him. "Uncle Su, why are you here?" Lu Zhanyuan slowly fell from the air and walked up the first 3 steps. "It's not because of that brat like Lu Chen," Su Shengyu said with a smile. Lu Zhanyuan immediately looked at Lu Chen, who was behind Su Shengyu, and said suddenly, "I'm really bothering Uncle Su. It's actually good to let Lu Chen suffer some hardships in the Martial Arts Bureau." Su Shengyu stroked his beard and laughed and said, "Ha ha, you are still as unruly as ever. Lu Chen was bullied a lot in the Martial Arts Bureau. If I hadn't appeared in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable." In this matter, Su Shengyu was not shameless at all and directly took all the credit for saving Lu Chen. After all, if you can be involved with the powerful Emperor Wu, what's the use of face? Su Shengyu is just a paraplegic Emperor Wu at this moment. How can he compare with Lu Zhanyuan? Building a good relationship with the Lu family is undoubtedly the wisest decision at this moment. Seeing Su Shengyu being so shameless, Lu Zhanyuan could only smile awkwardly. After a few brief greetings with Su Shengyu, he took Lu Shen away. "Old master, have you forgotten something?" A 6th grade martial saint behind Su Shengyu reminded. "Yes, Dad, why did you forget such an important thing?" Su Haoran said, holding his forehead. They came to rescue Lu Chen this time, but in order for Lu Chen to help Su Shengyu clean up the remaining poison in his body, Su Shengyu didn't say a word about it just now. Su Shengyu waved his hand and said, "Let's go back to Su's house first." Yes. In a blink of an eye, it was the Lu family meeting hall. Lu Chen cupped his hands and said, "Thank you elders for helping me this time, I'm very grateful." The eldest elder of the Lu family, Lu Zhanwang, said coldly, "Although I don't know why your kid is related to Lu Yenshao's death, I can tell you, don't seek death. Not everyone will save you every time." Lu Chen said humbly. Lu Chen will follow the teachings carefully and will never put himself in danger easily. Lu Zhanwang frowned and snorted. He clearly told Lu Chen not to seek death, but Lu Chen was nice and thought he was caring about him. Afterwards, Lu Zhanwang's figure disappeared like a ghost, leaving only one sentence. "In a few days, the Lu family will run for the head of the family again. I advise you to take care of yourself, kid." After Lu Zhanwang left, a group of elders followed him, leaving only Lu Zhanyuan and Lu Chen in the Lu family council hall. "Dad, you have broken through to the 7th level martial emperor. Will you leave Yanjing in a few days?" Lu Chen stared at Lu Zhanyuan and asked. Although it has been several months since Lu Chen traveled to this world of martial arts, he has long been accustomed to others' false feelings and flattery. But in his heart, Lu Zhanyuan was one of the few people in the world who really cared about him. Lu Chen was naturally a little reluctant to leave Lu Zhanyuan. Besides, Lu Zhanyuan is still his nominal father. Lu Zhanyuan asked with a smile, "You brat, I have just broken through to the 7th level martial emperor, so you wish I could leave early?" "No, the great elder just said that the Lu family will run for the head of the family again," Lu Chen retorted. "The news of my breakthrough should be known to the higher-ups soon. They will come to me in less than 3 days. I will leave with them to the ancient ruins. It is time for the Lu family to change its head." Lu Zhanyuan looked at Lu Chen with an expectant look in his eyes. Lu Mo nodded silently. The ancient ruins are the habitat of high-level soul beasts in the Dragon Kingdom. In order to prevent them from rioting and invading humans, the Dragon Kingdom spends a lot of manpower to guard this forest area every year. Lu Zhanyuan continued, "And the most suitable person right now is you." Lu Chen's eyes flickered slightly, but there was not much fluctuation in his eyes. To be honest, Lu Chen didn't care much about his position as the head of the Lu family. He competed for the position of head of the family just because he wanted to disgust his cheap sister Lu Wanqing. The position of head of the Lu family is not something that all cats and dogs can covet. Lu Chen nodded and said, "I understand, Dad, after you leave the Lu family to me." Lu Zhanyuan smiled slightly and said, "Lu Chen, what I am most worried about is not actually the Lu family, but you and Wanqing." Well, Lu Chen was silent. He and Lu Wanqing were now incompatible with each other. They both wanted the other to make the first move, and regarded each other as a thorn in each other's side. "Dad, since there is nothing else, I will go back first. I will not give up my position as the head of the Lu family." When Lu Wanqing was mentioned, Lu Chen was obviously impatient. Ask him to let Lu Wanqing go? How can this be? Lu Zhanyuan murmured for a while. His expression was full of complexity, and he wanted to say something, but in the end he swallowed the words in his mouth. "Lu Chen, why are you back?" Lu Wanqing looked at Lu Chen with surprised eyes, astonished as if she had seen a ghost. Lu Chen was arrested by the Martial Arts Bureau in the morning, but now he returned to the Lu family safely. Lu Wanqing curled her lips and thought to herself, the Martial Arts Bureau is really a bunch of losers. Lu Chenyuan's black pupils stared at Lu Wanqing's pink face, which was as delicate as an elf. Her loose black hair fell down to her shoulders like a waterfall, and some were scattered on her slightly raised shoulders. The small tiger teeth on her chest add a bit of playfulness to her. But for such a charming girl, her heart was full of humiliating Lu Chen. "Why, Lu Wanqing, it seems like you don't want me to come back. HMPH, I wish you would die in prison. A bedbug like you will only poison society if you live." Lu Wanqing wrinkled her pretty nose and said coquettishly. She was very unhappy with Lu Chen's knowing questions. Lu Chen suddenly smiled with relief. In this way, even if Lu Wanqing is killed, Lu Chen won't have any psychological burden anymore. Lu Chen said in a low voice. Lu Wanqing, I advise you to put away your rebelliousness, because you are not qualified to be arrogant in front of me. Lu Wanqing wrinkled her nose slightly, glanced at her little head and sneered at Lu Chen's threat. I like the way you can't stand me but can't kill me. If you are really a man, give me this month's training, give me the resources back. Bullying women is nothing. Lu Chen smiled slightly and was not in a hurry to refute. Instead, he said very calmly, oh, by the way, Lu Wanqing forgot to tell you that Dad has already broken through to the 7th level Martial Emperor. You probably don't know that yet, right? Lu Chen, what did you say? Dad made a breakthrough. Lu Wanqing's beautiful eyes were filled with water, and she stared into Lu Chen's eyes in disbelief. She now hoped that Lu Chen was lying. At such a critical moment, Lu Zhanyuan suddenly broke through the shackles and stepped into the 7th level Martial Emperor realm. Doesn't this mean that the Lu family's selection of the next head of the family will also be put on the agenda? Now with her strength, she might not be able to survive 10 rounds in Lu Chen's hands. How about fighting for the position of the head of the family? Seeing how surprised you are, Dad probably hasn't told you yet, right? That's right. If you knew that Dad had broken through Emperor Wu, you wouldn't be so blatantly clamoring now. Lu Wanqing bit her red lips lightly, her watery eyes locked onto Lu Chen's eyes resentfully and said, you really think you can cover the sky with just one hand in the Lu family now? After my father left, there were still elders and grandfathers protecting me. How could I care about you? Don't dare to do anything to me. And don't forget, you said that I have 3 chances. As long as I defeat you before you become the head of the Lu family, you will give up the position of the head of the Lu family. Lu Chen, you won't be stupid enough to forget it so quickly, bar? Lu Wanqing's knuckled fingers gently twirled the ends of her hair, saying with disdain on her face. It's just that her mood at the moment is extremely complicated. Can she really defeat Lu Chen now? You are the one who is stupid. Lu Wanqing, you only have 2 chances left now, so take care of yourself. Go Lu Chen, and I have nothing to do with you, even if. Lu Chen withdrew his gaze and went upstairs amidst Lu Wanqing's scolding. He must be fully prepared to compete for the position of the head of the Lu family, even if Lu Wanqing is currently only a 3rd-level martial artist. Lu Chen whispered in his heart, System, open the system mall. A curtain of light appeared in front of him, the light and shadow changed, and a dazzling array of products appeared in front of Lu Chen's eyes. Blue Sky Sword Technique, Earth-level low-grade martial arts. Tai Chi Zhan Gong is a middle-level martial arts skill at the heaven level, which mobilizes the true energy in the body of the warrior to form an offensive and defensive trend. It can advance, attack, retreat or defend. The wide variety of martial arts dazzled Lu Chen for a moment, and he didn't know which one to choose. Finally, Lu Chen's eyes fell on a book called Dragon Hidden Steps. The martial arts he lacked the most at the moment was the movement in martial arts, and this, Dragon Hidden Steps, was currently the most suitable martial art for him. Lu Chen read softly. Dragon Hidden Step is a low-level martial arts skill at the heaven level. After being used, the speed will explode in an instant, so fast that even the afterimage is difficult to catch. Okay, system, I want this Dragon Hidden Step. 70,000 points is so expensive, it's seconds away. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining Dragon Hidden Steps. Automatic learning is in progress. Scenes of thrilling scenes constantly appeared in Lu Chen's mind. A little golden man kept adjusting the energy in his body, gathering the energy on his legs. He saw that the golden man's legs carried a mysterious energy. Stepping on the breathless ground was accompanied by a deep dragon roar. A moment later, except for the low dragon roar, Lu Chen didn't even catch the afterimage of the golden villain. This just disappeared. Lu Chen was horrified in his heart, as he understood more and more about this martial skill. Only then did Lu Chen realize the horror of this martial skill. It's simply the ultimate speed. After Lu Chen opened his eyes, he took a breath and nodded with satisfaction. His current proficiency in the Dragon Hidden Step, which is a low-level heaven-level skill, cannot be overstated as being extremely proficient. The martial arts skills seem to be so deeply engraved in his memory. Then the next step is to increase the force, Lu Chen said to himself without thinking. Suddenly Lu Chen realized a very serious problem. Since the system can directly let him learn martial arts, why can't he directly improve his cultivation? Lu Chen frowned and asked, "System, do you think I can use destiny points to directly increase my force?" Theoretically, it's possible. The cold mechanical sound came, which directly made Lu Chen furious. "Why didn't you tell me earlier, Go Tongzi? I always thought that taking pills can improve my strength." Lu Chen gritted his teeth. As we all know, there are certain risks in using elixirs to improve your cultivation. Many warriors have suffered severe meridians because the elixirs they took were difficult to refine, and they even went astray. In addition, warriors who take the elixir have to endure the pain of tempering their meridians, which can be said to be worse than death. "You didn't ask me. Do I still need to ask you this? Tell me all your functions now, and don't say I didn't ask you again in the future." "I'm convinced, you old man. In this case, it's better to obey this system than to be respectful. I reluctantly introduce this system again. This system is called the Destiny Villain System. It exists to eliminate the Son of Destiny. You are selected as the host by the system. You should work with me to deal with the Son of Destiny. You now know the functions of this system. In addition to using destiny points to purchase goods from the system, you can also use destiny points to improve your own cultivation. As the host's strength increases, the products in the system mall will be updated. Match items that match the host's strength." Lu Mo nodded silently, which meant that as long as he became stronger, the items in the system mall would also be stronger. "System, how much destiny do I need to upgrade my martial power to the middle stage of the 4th level Wuzong?" 100,000 destiny points. The cold mechanical sound came, making Lu Chen couldn't help but click his tongue. 100,000? The light screen in front of him changed, and Lu Chen's attribute panel appeared. Name: Lu Chen. Age: 20. Realm: in the early stage of the 4th level Wuzong. The current improvement requires 100,000 destiny points. Weapon: Drinking Spring Sword, Yuanheng Sword, Dragon Soul Needle. Item: none. Destiny value: 300,000. After a moment of silence, Lu Chen gritted his teeth and said, "Do you know how long it will take me to earn 100,000 destiny points? Why don't you grab it? Consume 100,000 destiny points to improve your realm." Ding! Congratulations on the improvement of the host's cultivation level. At the current level of the 4th grade martial arts master, the improvement of the cultivation level requires 200,000 life points. At this moment, Lu Chen didn't have time to listen to the system's words. He just felt warm currents surging throughout his body, and the true energy in his meridians continued to increase, pouring into his dantian. Lu Chen was a little puzzled and murmured to himself, "Is this a breakthrough? Whether you should say it or not, whether you should make a fuss or not, Tong's efficiency is high." Lu Chen stood up and stretched his muscles. His body didn't feel any discomfort at all. Lu Mo silently gave the system a thumbs up. "From now on, I will obey no one but you." At the same time, Lu Wanqing locked herself in the room and paced back and forth in the relatively spacious room. It could be seen that she seemed to be anxious about something. "What should I do? Am I going to accept my fate and surrender to that bastard Lu Chen? No, I don't want it. Even if I am kicked out of the Lu family, I will never give in. By the way, Sister Muyan, if it's her, there must be a way." As if grasping a life-saving straw, Lu Wanqing hurriedly took out her mobile phone and called Qin Muyan. After Lu Wanqing explained the situation, Qin Muyan was silent for a short while and then persuaded, "Wanqing, I'm sorry, I can't help you with this matter. The Lu family is not something that the Qin family, can mess with. I can't. Putting the Qin family to death. Sister Mu Yan, aren't you willing to believe me just once? Although the hope is slim, but..." Lu Wanqing's pink face turned pale. She wrinkled her mouth and said with great disappointment, "Now, even her closest sister Mu Yan is not willing to help her." Qin Muyan interrupted Lu Wanqing impatiently. "Wanqing, you have to know that Lu Chen has changed. He is no longer the follower who obeyed me. Now, even for me, he shows no mercy, noodle. If he knows that I'm helping you, what will be waiting for me? Sister Mu Yan, do you already like Lu Chen?" "Lu Wanqing, what are you talking about? How could I like him?" Qin Muyan didn't know why Lu Wanqing would ask such a question, so he denied it decisively. "I accidentally saw you walking out of Lu Chen's room that day. Out of curiosity, I secretly entered his room and saw a stain on the sheets. Sister Mu Yan, I know you must have something unspeakable, but don't worry, I will definitely help you get revenge and let Lu Chen repay the injustice you suffered 10 times and 100 times. Lu Wanqing, swear. Lu Wanqing bit her teeth lightly and hung up the phone without giving Qin Muyan any explanation. Even without Qin Muyan's help, she would definitely be able to find a way on her own. Qin Muyan looked at her phone blankly, a pale look appearing on her beautiful face. It wasn't because Lu Wanqing knew her secret, but he was afraid that Lu Wanqing would do something stupid. When the time comes, Lu Chen will never let her go easily. Just when Lu Wanqing was at her wit's end, her cell phone rang again. She looked at the mobile phone beside her with her jade-like eyes, only to find that it wasn't Qin Muyan calling at all, but an unknown and strange number. Who could it be at this time? Driven by curiosity, Lu Wanqing still answered the phone. A strange voice came from the phone. Is it Miss Lu Wanqing? I think you must be having a headache now about your position as the head of the Lu family. Maybe I can help you. Help me? Who are you? Why do you want to help me? Lu Wanqing asked anxiously. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is that I am the only one who can help you in your situation. Of course, if you want to give up the fight for the position of the head of the Lu family, just pretend I didn't say anything. I'll be waiting for you at Yanjing Martial Arts Academy at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Miss Lu, please don't forget it. The mysterious person on the phone only left the address of the Martial Arts Academy and then hung up, leaving Lu Wanqing looking at the phone in a daze. In the Martial Arts Bureau, Xu Feng put down the mobile phone in his hand and looked at Yi Wuhai. Senior Yi, if you come like this, there will be no problem, right? But will Lu Wanqing really come to me? She will definitely come. Lu Zhanyuan breaks through Emperor Wu, and the Lu family will definitely choose the head of the family again. Lu Wanqing is already at her wit's end and has no chance of winning against Lu Chen. You are her last and only chance. No matter what, we must not let Lu Chen become the head of the Lu family. You must help her. Senior Yi, of course I understand this. 2 days later. The atmosphere in the Lu family meeting hall was particularly solemn. Many elders of the Lu family, as well as Lu Zhanyuan, Lu Chen and others gathered here, and their eyes were all focused on the two strange warriors in the hall. One of them is wearing a red dress, with red hair that is as sexy as fire. Under her glazed eyes is a vermilion tear mole. She is incredibly beautiful. However, the most eye-catching thing is not her hair, but her frown. The charming aura inadvertently revealed in her smile makes people unable to suppress the heat in their hearts. The man in black sitting next to the woman was wearing a black knight suit and holding a rusty iron sword in his arms. He raised his hands and feet with a murderous aura that made people dare not look directly into his eyes, as if there were too many people. One look and you'll be dragged into the abyss. The two of them were the warriors sent by the highest level of the Dragon Kingdom's martial arts community to pick up Lu Zhanyuan's departure. Like Lu Zhanyuan, they are both peerless experts in the 7th grade martial emperor realm. The purpose of this trip is naturally to take Lu Zhanyuan away. Lu Chen looked at the two people above the hall and frowned secretly. He didn't expect them to arrive so soon. Relying on his memory, Lu Chen roughly guessed the identities of the two people. This charming red-haired woman should be Hong Tianxiang, and the man in black holding the iron sword should be Ji Wuchang, who is known as the Little Sword God. The two of them provided a lot of help when Xu Feng broke through Emperor Wu in the later period. In the novel, Hong Tianxiang naturally became Xu Feng's harem. The Little Sword God Ji Wuchang, like many supporting characters, died under the claws of the monster in order to save Xu Feng. His flesh and bones were completely devoured by the monster, and not even the bones were left. This design is so reasonable. Even Lu Chen couldn't help but want to complain. As long as Xu Feng was more beautiful, he was not picky at all and accepted them all into his harem. And the fate of supporting characters like Ji Wuchang is death. Could it be that this is the end of friendship with the Son of Destiny? By the way, Hong Tianxiang is probably 50 or 60 years old, right? In this world of martial arts that lacks true energy, Xu Feng can become a powerful 7th-level martial emperor, not even 70 but half 100 years old. How on earth did Xu Feng convince himself to take action? Anyway, it was hard for Lu Chen to accept it. You can be thousands or tens of thousands years older than me, but you can't be dozens of years older. This is Lu Chen's bottom line. When he thought of Hong Tianxiang's charming appearance, there was the soul of an old woman. Lu Chen couldn't arouse the slightest interest. However, Hong Tianxiang was still half a heroine anyway, and Lu Chen would not miss the opportunity to win. Hong Tianxiang gently put down the teacup in her hand, opened her red lips, and said in a very soft and slow voice, "I don't know how long it has been since I tasted such a fragrant and good tea. Ji Wuchang, you should try it too, Ji Wuchang." Ji Wuchang glanced coldly at the teacup on the table beside him, and then looked away again. He couldn't arouse the slightest interest in the fragrant tea that Hong Tianxiang praised so much. Hong Tianxiang snorted and was speechless for Ji Wuchang, a wood who didn't understand the charm. "Let you try it, just try it. Put on a stinky face, as if someone owes you money." Her beautiful red eyes turned blue and fell on Lu Zhanyuan. She smiled slightly and said, "Lu Zhanyuan, do you have anything else to say now? After you leave with us later, you don't know when you can come back." Lu Zhanyuan paused slightly and looked at Lu Chen and Lu Wanqing not far away. As a father, what he cared about most was his children. But when he was really asked to say something, Lu Zhanyuan hesitated and fell into silence. He obviously had too much to say, but when the words came to his lips, he didn't know how to say them. Lu Zhanyuan's silence made the scene awkward for a while. Lu Zhanyuan coughed lightly to cover up his embarrassment. Then, he looked at Lu Zhanyuan, the first elder of the Lu family, and whispered, "First elder, I don't know when I will come back after leaving this time. Originally, I wanted to decide the next head of the Lu family between Lu Chen and Wan Qing, but the time was too hasty. The position of head of the Lu family will be decided by you, the great elder, for me. If the time is too hasty, it is just an excuse for Zhan Yuan to evade." Maybe Lu Zhanyuan never thought about this kind of thing from the beginning. Lu Chen and Lu Wanqing are both his children, and it doesn't matter to him whoever becomes the next head of the Lu family. However, this was very painful for Lu Zhanwang. Leave the offending matter to him. Fortunately, I am still your uncle, Lu Zhanyuan. At this moment, Lu Chen and Lu Wanqing's eyes were all focused on Lu Zhanwang, hoping that the old man could make the most correct decision. Lu Wanqing's petite breasts even began to rise and fall gently. She placed her well-jointed jade fingers on her chest, and even her body couldn't help but start to tremble slightly. You can imagine how nervous she was at this moment. You know, her fate can now be controlled by Lu Zhanwang. Lu Zhanwang's old eyes were lowered. After a moment, his cloudy old eyes looked at Lu Chen and Lu Wanqing. Lu Zhanwang took a long breath and said with relief, "I decide, it's up to." Lu Zhanwang made the final decision. "I have decided that Lu Chen will be the new head of the Lu family." "Brother, what are you talking about? Brother, I think you are old and confused?" "Yes, what qualifications does a brat like Lu Chen have to become the head of the Lu family? In my opinion, Wan Qing is the most suitable one." What Lao Lu said is right, I also support Wan Qing. After Lu Zhanwang made the final decision, many elders of the Lu family immediately exploded. Even they found it difficult to accept this result. You must know that among these elders, Lu Zhanwang is the one who loves Lu Wanqing the most. Who would have thought that Lu Zhanwang would make such a decision? Lu Wanqing was stunned on the spot, at a loss for a moment, and then her lips turned visibly pale, and her eyes looked at Lu Zhanwang helplessly. This was the outcome she least expected to see. No matter where she is, Lu Wanqing is almost like a star. Many elders of the Lu family regard her as the apple of their eyes. In the martial arts academy, there are countless people who pursue her. She has almost never suffered setbacks since she was a child, has never been so humiliating as today. She knew very well the outcome of her failure. Lu Chen would definitely use rogue means to suppress her, cut off all her cultivation resources, and turn her into a complete useless person. Why Lu Chen and not her? He is obviously better and more suitable to be the head of the Lu family than Lu Chen. She is so unwilling. Lu Chen took a step forward unhurriedly and said in a deep voice, "This junior will live up to the trust of the elders." Lu Chen's every move fell into Lu Wanqing's mist-filled eyes, as if he was showing off his power. Lu Wanqing was so angry that she bit her red lips with her white teeth and said fiercely in her heart, "Lu Chen, you forced me to do this, and I will never let you succeed easily." Then Lu Wanqing, in front of everyone's surprised eyes, stretched out her jade finger and pointed at Lu Chen's nose and asked, "Why him and not me? Compared to Lu Chen, in what way am I inferior to him?" "Lu Wanqing, this is my decision. If you don't back down, how unbecoming is it to yell at your elders?" Lu Zhanwang said in a cold and deep voice, which made Lu Wanqing's arrogance calm down a little. But the unhappiness in Lu Wanqing's heart that she had never felt before had not diminished at all, as if there was a huge stone blocking her heart. Hong Tianxiang's jade hands, as white as gelatin, held up the teacup and put it gently to her lips. Her movements were charming, but her attention was entirely on Lu Wanqing, as if she was eating melon. She was very curious, wondering what shocking actions this little girl could do when faced with an unfair fate. As for Ji Wuchang on the side, he symbolically closed his abyss-like eyes. Now he just wants to leave here quickly. The only thing that can arouse his interest is a hearty and passionate duel. After leaving the Lu family, I must have a fight with Lu Zhanyuan to determine the winner. Nothing else. Lu Chen turned around and said with a look of astonishment on his face, "In what way are you inferior to me? Then in what way are you better than me? In just 4 months, I have broken through from a second-level warrior to the middle of a fourth-level martial sect. Just by this point alone, what are you comparing to me? One word stirs up 1,000 waves. In 4 months, from the second-level warrior to the fourth-level martial arts master, it is still the middle stage." Even Ji Wuchang, who had no interest in worldly affairs, opened his dark eyes at this moment and looked at Lu Chen again. With Lu Chen's release of force in the middle stage of the 4th grade Wuzong, it is really the middle stage of the 4th grade Wuzong. Lu Wanqing shook her head like a rattle. This kind of thing was beyond her knowledge. It was incredible to break through 2 major realms in 4 months, but now Lu Chen has broken through again. At this rate, Lu Chen will definitely break through to the 5th-level martial lord in less than half a year. Lu Wanqing didn't know how to respond. Is it possible that there is something wrong with Lu Chen's character? What if Lu Chen made it known to the public that she had misappropriated her cultivation resources? Lu Wanqing will definitely regret being born in this world. And in this world that worships force so much, character is of no use? Strength is the only way. Now Lu Chen's strength has explained everything. He is more qualified to become the head of the Lu family than Lu Wanqing. Ji Wuchang's eyes were full of fighting spirit. He touched the rusty iron sword in his arms and said, "I didn't expect that, Lu Zhanyuan. Your son is more evil than you. I was really looking forward to it." Lu Zhanyuan smiled awkwardly. This guy is indeed a madman. Lu Chen is still just a child. Hong Tianxiang hummed. "Humph, don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Don't forget the purpose of our trip. If you dare to cause trouble, even if you are my senior brother, I will not be lenient. If you hurt him, I don't think Lu Zhanyuan will let you go easily." Hong Tianxiang glared at Ji Wuchang and motioned for him to calm down a little. She didn't want to embarrass herself with him. Lu Chen looked at Ji Wuchang and inadvertently looked into his eyes. He could feel the strong fighting spirit in Ji Wuchang's eyes. Lu Chen couldn't help but frown and thought to himself, Ji Wuchang is exactly as described in the novel. As long as he mentions fighting, he will instantly cheer up. It's like being injected with chicken blood. He is simply a lunatic born to fight. Lu Chen turned around and looked at Lu Wanqing with a sneer. Lu Chen turned around, looked at Lu Wanqing with a sneer, and said teasingly, "Do you still think that your talent and ability are outstanding, and you are more qualified than me to inherit the position of the head of the Lu family?" Lu Wanqing tried her best to restrain her inner despair and pretended to be calm. "Lu Chen, have you forgotten something? There is still a bet between you and me." "A bet?" After everyone heard this, they were also curious about what kind of bet this was. Lu Wanqing looked at her father, Lu Zhanyuan, and said softly, "Dad, Lu Chen made a bet with me before. He said that as long as I can defeat him, he will give up the position of head of the Lu family at any time." Lu Zhanyuan just frowned secretly when he heard this, but said nothing. "What nonsense!" Lu Zhanwang was the first to disagree. He stood up and reprimanded severely. "How can the position of the head of the family be changed at will? Think that the rules of my Lu family no longer exist? Great elder, rules are dead, people are alive, why not change it a little?" Lu Wanqing puffed up her chest slightly and argued aggressively. Besides, this is what Lu Chen said himself. Lu Chen couldn't help rolling his eyes. He couldn't help but frown and asked himself, "Did I say that? How do I remember that I said before I became the head of the Lu family? There seems to be this premise, right?" Lu Chen shook his head. "Forget it, I'll give you this opportunity to challenge me and see what new tricks you can come up with." Lu Chen completely regarded Lu Wanqing as a joke, just a clown trying to please others. Seeing that Lu Chen didn't seem to want to admit it, Lu Wanqing raised the corners of her lips slightly, trying to provoke Lu Chen, and said, "What, Lu Chen, don't you even have the courage to admit what you said now? You really have low self-esteem. Lu Chen raised his eyebrows and said, Dad, First Elder, I did say that Lu Wanqing did not lie. Lu Chen knew that Lu Wanqing was just struggling to death at the moment, and now he wanted to see how embarrassed Lu Wanqing looked when she was so angry. Lu Chen said that he would deprive Lu Wanqing of everything, not even her dignity. Lu Wanqing smiled slyly, as if her plan had succeeded, and she felt extremely relaxed. Her eyes flickered and she said, Lu Chen, as the head of the Lu family, I will temporarily let you keep it for me for a while. When the time is right, I will take it back. Everything belongs to me. Custody? Lu Chen was laughed out of anger, and he was still trying to delay the attack? Lu Wanqing, your shamelessness is truly breathtaking, even I am ashamed of myself. As he spoke, the energy around Lu Chen became chaotic and violent. The strong wind picked up the fine sand on the ground and flew it towards Lu Wanqing's pink face. Oops! Lu Wanqing staggered back, unable to react for a moment, and fell directly to the ground. After all, Lu Wanqing is a spoiled young lady who doesn't even have the most basic precautions for a warrior. What qualifications does such a person have to be compared with her? Having made a fool of herself in front of so many people, she instantly felt a sense of grievance in her heart. With slightly red eyes, she said aggrievedly, Lu Chen, what are you going to do? You know how to bully me. Stop pretending to be pitiful here, Lu Wanqing, don't you want to challenge me? I will give you this chance now, come on. As long as you defeat me, it doesn't matter if you take over the position of head of the Lu family. Lu Chen, you bastard, I told you not now, why can't you understand? Since Lu Wanqing doesn't dare to fight with me, please get out of the Lu family immediately, otherwise don't blame me for being rude to you. There was a gloom in Lu Chen's eyes, he really couldn't stand it anymore. Lu Wanqing was jumping around repeatedly under her nose, trying to commit suicide, which no one could bear. At this moment, Lu Chen really wanted to slap her to death to satisfy his hatred. That's enough, Lu Chen, Wanqing, stop making trouble, there are still guests here. Lu Zhanyuan's thunderous and powerful voice fell into Lu Chen's ears, making him slightly stunned. Lu Chen twitched his lips and said reluctantly, Yes, Dad. Lu Wanqing stood up and patted the dust on her skirt, then frowned and looked at Lu Chen with resentful eyes, wishing to cut him into pieces. Lu Chen met Lu Wanqing's eyes and said coldly, I ask you one last time, to fight or not to fight? Lu Wanqing lowered her head slightly and remained silent. How could she beat Lu Chen? Lu Chen said coldly, Now you don't even have the courage to fight me? How dare you covet the position of the head of the Lu family? Seeing that Lu Wanqing remained silent throughout, Lu Zhanwang shook his head and sighed softly. In this case, Wanqing should regard it as your voluntary abandonment of the bet, and the position of the head of the Lu family should be. Wait. I'll fight for Wanqing. A strange voice sounded, making everyone present slightly stunned. A standout? Who dares to make trouble in my Lu family? Lu Zhanwang roared, and he was completely angered. There are still people who dare to stand up for Lu Wanqing. Are you tired of living? Following the sound, he saw a young man in coarse cloth approaching from outside the hall. His bright eyes and thick brows revealed arrogance, but there was no hint of arrogance. Everyone stared at the young man in front of them, slowly walking into the hall step by step, with a strong chill between their brows. Lu Wanqing trotted up to Chu Feng and said in surprise, Brother Chu Feng, why are you here? Didn't I say I wouldn't let you come? Lu Chen frowned slightly. Brother Chu Feng. The call was really kind. In all his life, Lu Chen has never heard Lu Wanqing call him brother. But he didn't need to. Lu Chen didn't have any good impressions of a white-eyed wolf like Lu Wanqing who was trying to get in and out of things. I wish Chu Feng could take her away. Don't continue to stay in the Lu family and harm others. I couldn't worry about you, so I came over to take a look. I didn't expect these people to gang up to bully you. Chu Feng glanced around and memorized the faces of the Lu family elders. The woman who dared to bully him. One day you old guys will pay the price for this. Lu Zhanwang's domineering pressure poured towards Chu Feng's frail body, trying to crush Chu Feng with this unrivaled power. He would never allow anyone to challenge his majesty. Chu Feng was not afraid at all. His eyes flashed with cold light like sharp blades, and he protected Lu Wanqing behind him. Immediately, the strength of the fifth-grade martial lord exploded, and he used his own physical strength to withstand Lu Zhanwang's crushing martial saint pressure. Great elder, he is my friend, please calm down. Lu Wanqing said anxiously, the pressure of the strong martial saint is not something that ordinary people can withstand. She didn't want Chu Feng to get hurt because of her. Seeing that Lu Wanqing was blocking Chu Feng regardless of danger, Lu Zhanwang put away the pressure of the martial saint, but his face was still stern, and his cloudy old eyes began to look up and down at the stranger in front of him. Fifth grade martial lord. Who is this kid? You have broken through to the 5th level of martial arts at such a young age, how can your talent be so evil? Many elders of the Lu family said in an uproar, guessing Chu Feng's identity one after another. 20 years old, 5th grade martial lord. There is such a monster in the little Yanjing. Ji Wuchang was surprised and happy. He didn't expect to encounter 2 monsters in a row in one day. His talent was much stronger than what he had back then. In the future, Chu Feng will definitely be a rare opponent. Ji Wuchang thought of this, and the fighting spirit in his eyes was visibly ignited. Seeing his appearance, Hong Tianxiang on the side couldn't help but helplessly put his forehead on his head and shook his head slightly. Lu Zhanwang said seriously, "Who are you, kid? Why did you break into my Lu family without permission? I just can't bear to see you old guys bullying a weak woman, and I didn't break into the Lu family, but walked in openly," Chu Feng said lightly. The corners of Lu Zhanwang's mouth twitched slightly, and he always felt like someone was riding on his neck to shit. What is this kid's identity? How dare you be so arrogant? At this time, the 3rd elder of the Lu family, Lu Zhanan, whispered in Lu Zhanwang's ear. Brother, he is the brat I told you. I taught him a lesson last time at the Qin family. Lu Zhanwang's expression was gloomy and uncertain. When did this old guy Lu Zhanan offend such a monster martial arts genius? Give you 3 breaths to get out of my Lu family. Our Lu family is not a place for a yellow-haired boy like you to run wild. Since he had been offended, there was no need to show him any favors, so Lu Zhanwang directly issued an order to expel him. It's impossible to leave. Today I must seek justice for Wanqing. Chu Feng said indignantly, seeing the girl he liked being bullied, how could he leave so easily? Lu Chen couldn't help but scratch his head. In just a few days, the 2 of them came together? Could it be that the legendary ants are like ants attached to each other and have similar odors? He truly deserves to be the son of destiny, the daughter of destiny. They can all get along with each other by smell. Lu Wanqing gently tugged at the corner of Chu Feng's clothes, and said pitifully and softly, Brother Chu Feng, let's leave. If the elder is angry, we will be in trouble. The girl's gentle words made Chu Feng's heart feel like a knife. He comforted him softly. As long as I am here today, no one can bully you. Don't worry, we will leave the Lu family safely. No one can hurt you. If they want to hurt you, let them step over my body first. Lu Wanqing's heart, which had been silent for a long time, instantly felt a surge of warmth. She had already become immune to these sweet words before, and she vaguely disliked boys, otherwise she would not have fallen in love with Qin Muyan. But Chu Feng could resolutely stand up in front of her when she was most isolated and helpless. She had never seen anyone do this for her, and Chu Feng's image in her heart instantly became majestic. It turns out that boys can be so handsome. Lu Chen glanced at Lu Zhanyuan behind him with complicated eyes, and then smiled at Chu Feng and said, This is not a place for you to get bored, Chu Feng. Now that important guests from my Lu family are present, I won't embarrass you. Take Lu Wanqing away. Bar. Get as far away as possible. Chu Feng looked at Lu Chen coldly. He would not leave easily. The purpose of his coming to the Lu family today was naturally to help Lu Wanqing seize the position of head of the Lu family and pull out Lu Chen's tiger teeth. Otherwise everything he had done would be in vain. Lu Chen. Why do you bully Wanqing? You have the guts to compete with me on stage. The grudge you made last time when you teased me has not yet been settled. When he thought of the insult he suffered in the Qin family, even if Chu Feng was in a good mood, endless anger would inevitably well up in his heart. That was a memory that he didn't want to recall for the rest of his life, being teased like a dog. Third elder, get rid of this annoying fly for me, Lu Chen ordered directly. Lu Chen's current strength is not enough to crush Chu Feng. Just in case, it is safer to let Lu Zhanan deal with him. Third elder Lu Zhanan was stunned for a moment, then took the order and stepped forward. The void in front of Chu Feng was torn open, and accompanied by the howling wind, a big withered hand appeared in the space and grabbed his body, trying to tear Chu Feng's body to pieces. Chu Feng gritted his teeth and dodged sideways with lightning speed. At this moment, his eyes were as sharp as a sword, and his nerves were tensed to the extreme. If he was hit by this palm, even if he was not shattered into pieces, his bones would be turned into powder. His meridians will be cut off and he will become a useless person. Ah! Lu Wanqing exclaimed. The third elder is going to kill brother Chu Feng. The old guy Lu Jianan took action at the slightest disagreement, which was beyond Chu Feng's expectations. There was a huge tremor on the ground, and the illusory giant palm hit the ground. The ground cracked and sunk like a spider web. On the ground, a huge palm print suddenly appeared in everyone's eyes. But Chu Feng's figure appeared several meters away. Actually escaped. But no matter how monstrous Chu Feng's talent is, he is still a 5th-grade martial saint. If he wants to challenge Lu Jianan, who is at the peak of the 6th-grade martial saint, he is obviously not qualified. It was extremely difficult for Chu Feng to even escape Lu Jianan's attack. Just when Lu Jianan was about to suppress Chu Feng, a rusty iron sword fell from midair and stabbed into the ground, smashing the remnants of the giant hand into pieces. The sharp sword energy overflowed, even the air all rippled. Everyone looked at the rusty broken sword in surprise, and their eyes unanimously focused on Ji Wuchang. Yes, this is the sword of the little sword god Ji Wuchang. Ji Wuchang stood up and stretched, rubbed his sleepy eyes and said, Lu Zhanyuan, you know what I am like. I, Ji Wuchang, can't bear to bully the small with the big and the small with the many. I admire this young man very much. He is not afraid of the strong in the face of danger and is willing to sacrifice everything for the one he loves. I hope you will take my face into account and let him leave safely. Hong Tianxiang on the side held her white forehead and smiled helplessly, looking extremely charming. As expected, this guy's illness relapsed. Only then did Chu Feng notice Ji Wuchang and Hong Tianxiang in the hall. But the first thing that came to his mind was not gratitude to Ji Wuchang for saving him. Instead, he sighed at Hong Tianxiang's charming appearance. This beauty only exists in heaven. Chu Feng stared at Hong Tianxiang's flawless profile, his heartbeat accelerated rapidly, and even he took a greedy look. Hong Tianxiang's charm is definitely not the coquettishness of ordinary women, but the beauty that is natural in her bones. There is such a stunning beauty in the world, especially her half-covered red skirt. Under the skirt, her slender legs are as smooth and delicate as gelatin. The red skirt fully outlines her exquisite and graceful body. It almost attracted Chu Feng's soul. It was so beautiful that it captivated people's hearts and souls. Lu Zhanyuan was silent. He had now entered the realm of the martial emperor. According to the martial arts regulations, he was not allowed to interfere in worldly matters. But Ji Wuchang, who was also the Emperor Wu, not only intervened, but also interfered in the affairs of his Lu family. This made Lu Zhanyuan very unhappy. Out of love, he just acquiesced to Ji Wuchang's illegal behavior. But if Ji Wuchang takes it further, Lu Zhanyuan will never be as polite as he is now. Lu Chen's expression was extremely calm, and his eyes as cold as ink looked at Ji Wuchang. Of course I am willing to give Senior Ji Wuchang face, but I don't know if Chu Feng is willing to leave right now. If he refuses to get out of my Lu family, I hope Senior will not interfere with the grudges between me and him. After all, you have already escaped from the secular world. It's not good to break the rules. Just when Ji Wuchang was about to speak, he heard a loud and powerful laughter coming from outside the Lu family's meeting hall, which was heart-shaking. Ha ha ha, what a rule! I want to see who dares to touch a finger of little friend Chu Feng today. The words just fell. Time seemed to have frozen in the Lu family meeting hall. Mr. Chen, you are finally here. If you were a step later, you wouldn't be able to see me. Outside the hall, a fat old man walked in with a smile. The appearance of the old man made Hong Tianxiang and Ji Wuchang secretly exclaim. Hong Tianxiang narrowed her narrow beautiful eyes slightly, raised her red sleeves to hide her smile and said, Why are you here, Mr. Chen? The Lu family is really lively today. Lu Chen looked surprised. Mr. Chen? Could it be that he is Lu Yanxiao and Yi Wuhai's teacher? Is it you who killed my disciple Lu Yanxiao? Before Lu Chen could react, the old man known as Mr. Chen stared at Lu Chen with an indifferent gaze, and locked Lu Chen with overwhelming force, preventing him from having any chance to move. Lu Chen's pupils shrank slightly and his heart stopped. The old man's sharp gaze, like a judge, made Lu Chen's heart tremble suddenly, but he knew that he must not give in at this time. Lu Chen's eyes were fearless, and he raised his head slightly and said, "Don't you think it's ridiculous that your apprentice is not good at his studies and was plotted against, but he blames me? Also, how stupid is Lu Yunxiao to make you think that I killed him?" Mr. Chen was extremely angry, with a trace of anger on his face. "I don't dare to kill you when I treat you like this. Lu Yunxiao's talent is among the best among all his disciples, otherwise he would not have become the dean of Yanjing Martial Arts Academy at such a young age." Lu Chen's move undoubtedly trampled on his face. How could he not be angry? The elders of the Lu family dared not speak out in anger. Lu Chen is now the head of the Lu family. This move was a slap in the face of the Lu family. Lu Zhanyuan slowly closed his eyes, and he seemed very calm. But when he opened his eyes again, the evil aura emerging from the abyss like black eyes made people shudder. Lu Chen is his son. How dare you beat your son in front of his father and threaten to kill Lu Chen? Lu Zhanyuan's voice was extremely deep, and he said with overwhelming murderous intent, "Mr. Chen, if you come to my Lu family as a guest, I, Lu Zhanyuan, will welcome you at any time, but if you dare to act recklessly in my Lu family again, I'm sorry, even if you are Master Chen of the martial Saint Lao, don't blame me for being merciless. Don't forget, Lu Chen is my son." You? It seemed that Mr. Chen was not the only one who made Lu Zhanyuan angry here. Chen Lao laughed awkwardly when he heard this, but he did not forget to point at Sang and Wei and said, "This is natural. You and I have transcended the world and entered the realm of the martial emperor. How can we meddle in worldly affairs at will? My apprentice can only blame him for imitating. How could he die in the hands of such a despicable villain if he was not good at art?" Mr. Chen put away the pressure of Emperor Wu, and Lu Chen felt that his body was as light as if it didn't exist, not much more relaxed than before. Lu Zhanyuan snorted coldly, showing no mercy. Han Tianxiang secretly gasped. He is indeed known as the most talented man in the Lu family in the past 300 years. He is not afraid at all even in front of Mr. Chen. This murderous intention makes even me shudder. Logically speaking, no one can interfere with today's election as head of the family. This was the decision of his Lu family. No one can change it. The arrival of Chu Feng and Mr. Chen made the Lu family's decision-making difficult. Chu Feng straightened his back. Now that Mr. Chen is supporting him, who else dares to attack him blatantly? "Lu Chen, don't you want to fight? Why don't you and I have a fair fight today? If you win, I will leave the Lu family immediately. If you lose, I will give up my position as the head of the Lu family as agreed." Chu Feng said righteously. "This not only for your own good, but also for the future of your Lu family." Although it was a bit out of place in this majestic atmosphere, Lu Chen was really made to laugh. "I won, but you were able to leave safely. I lost, but I have to give up my position as the head of the family? Do you really have no brains at all? And what qualifications do you, Chu Feng, have to fight on behalf of Lu Wanqing?" Lu Chen stared at Chu Feng with wide eyes, and said with displeasure, "How can you give up the position of the head of the family to an outsider casually? An outsider? You can rest assured, Lu Chen. I don't have any negative thoughts about your position as the head of the Lu family. If I win, all you have to do is give up the position of head of the Lu family to Wanqing. How about that?" Lu Chen shook his head secretly. The outsider he said did not refer to Chu Feng. But, Lu Wanqing. A look of disdain appeared on Lu Chen's face. "I promise you Chu Feng, but it must be according to my conditions." Chu Feng was secretly happy, but when he heard the conditions mentioned by Lu Chen, he became angry. "If I win, you must keep an arm as the price for breaking into my Lu family without permission. If I lose, I will give up my position as the head of the Lu family. You can choose to agree or not to agree. If you don't agree, please get out of my Lu family immediately. I promise you, but Lu Chen, if you want me to keep an arm, I have to see if you have the ability." Chu Feng secretly gritted his teeth and made a clicking sound from the bones of his fingers. It was obvious how furious he was towards Lu Chen. Lu Wanqing clenched her fists at her chest. In her memory, except for her father Lu Zhanyuan, no man had ever been willing to do this for her. Isn't the cost of just one arm a bit too much? Thinking of this, Lu Wanqing's eyebrows, as thin as cicada wings, trembled slightly, and an abnormal red glow appeared on her face. Lu Wanqing bit her red lips with her teeth, shook her head and murmured, "No, brother Chu Feng will definitely win. He is a 5th-grade martial lord, how could he lose to a bastard like Lu Chen, huh?" After everyone saw that Lu Chen agreed to Chu Feng's unfair duel, They all sighed with regret, feeling that Lu Chen was a bit stupid. How could a 4th-level martial master defeat a 5th-level martial master? The gap between the two of them is not just a tiny bit. Even if Lu Chen refuses, they will not think that Lu Chen is a coward. On the contrary, in their opinion, this is still a very wise decision. Lu Chen will lose this battle. Lu Chen's eyes showed a hint of solemnity. To be honest, he was not completely sure that he could defeat Chu Feng. Chu Feng was no less capable than him. After all, he was the son of destiny. If he were defeated casually in Lu Chen's hands, what kind of son of destiny is that? As the crowd in the hall receded, Hong Tianxiang glanced sideways and said lightly, "Want to have a look? It seems quite interesting." Ji Wuchang's voice was mixed with a little interest. "Let's go. There are not many opportunities to witness the duel between two monsters, but the boring thing is that the ending of this duel seems to have no suspense." The Lu family's martial arts arena. Lu Chen's expression was indifferent, his eyes were as sharp as a sharp blade, his black hair was not restrained in any way, flying wildly with the wind, and in his hand, he held a Yuan Hong longsword tightly. A strong blood-red evil aura emerged from the edge of the Yuan Hong sword, filling the air with blood mist and an undetectable faint smell of blood. The blood-evil aura shrouded the entire arena in a strange aura. On the other side of the arena, Xu Feng's eyes were quietly staring at Lu Chen, who was 100 meters away. His eyes were extremely sharp and full of hostility, and there was a hidden coldness in his eyes, with a biting chill. This scene reminded Xu Feng of the humiliation he suffered in the Qin family. That day, he was so angry with Lu Chen that he lost his mind and lowered his level to duel with Lu Chen. Who would have thought that Lu Chen actually concealed his strength, causing him to suffer a big loss? Xu Feng shook his hands and said in an extremely low voice, "Lu Chen, I will never forget the shame you brought me that day in the Qin family. Today I must make you pay for your stupidity." Xu Feng had a thick black giant sword in his hand. The giant sword was not sharp and did not seem to have an edge, but it did not affect the sharp sword energy it exuded at all. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Is this a low-grade edgeless sword? Wait, in the original plot, didn't Xu Feng get this edgeless sword later in the novel? Why did he get this sword one step ahead of time? Could it be because Lu Chen changed the original plot, and the butterfly effect occurred, causing Xu Feng to obtain this sword one step ahead of schedule? After Chen Lao gave an order, the momentum of both Lu Chen and Xu Feng rose to its peak. Lu Chen did not dare to neglect, and a bloody sword energy that was as devastating as death came out of the sword, and with the fierce sword energy, it hit Xu, who was 100 meters away, maple shoots away. Xu Feng had always known how cunning Lu Chen was. He had a clear view of Lu Chen's every move. He calmly raised the edgeless sword in his hand to block it in front of him. The edgeless sword lit up with a dazzling sword light. Xu Feng slashed down with another sword energy. The air was torn apart by the domineering sword energy, and he went to meet Lu Chen's blood-red sword energy. Boom! The two sword energies collided, causing a loud bang. A violent and domineering aura spread in all directions, and the terrifying aura raged like a flood. In the smoke generated by the explosion, a low dragon roar sounded. Then Lu Chen swung his fist at Xu Feng very quickly and hit Xu Feng's head hard. With the support of the system, Lu Chen could already use the low-grade, dragon-hidden step, at the heaven level at will. At such a speed, Xu Feng might not even be able to catch the afterimage. Xu Feng's expression became extremely solemn, and he exclaimed at such a fast speed. He could only see Lu Chen's afterimage, and before he could react, Lu Chen's fist hit his head. At the critical moment, Xu Feng raised his arm to block Lu Chen's sharp attack, but his body fell uncontrollably to the right. The edgeless sword penetrated the ground fiercely, drawing a deep ravine on the ground. If he hadn't used the edgeless sword in his hand to stabilize his body, Xu Feng wouldn't know how embarrassed he would be. The green energy rolled out like a tide, and the green light filled the air to protect Xu Feng's body, preventing Lu Chen from having any chance to succeed. The clash of weapons, the friction of fists and feet, the sound of rapid breathing. In just a few breaths, the two of them fought for countless rounds. But Xu Feng had the upper hand from beginning to end, but because Lu Chen's speed was too fast, Xu Feng would not be able to find a way to deal with it for a while. What kind of martial arts is this? The speed is simply extremely fast. Lu Chen, your tricks are nothing more than that. Let's see how you hide this time. The violent flames covered the black broadsword in Chu Feng's hand. The flames on the edgeless sword were burning fiercely, with overwhelming killing intent. The blood mist filling the air was instantly evaporated by the scorching flames, and the pungent smell of blood rushing towards my face. The faint lingering smoke all around was dispersed by this airwave. 3,000 yan slashes. A sword energy wrapped in flames shot out of the sky, and the temperature of the entire heaven and earth instantly surged. Even the air became twisted and boiling. One can imagine how domineering Chu Feng's attack was. Lu Chen's face turned pale, and he gritted his teeth and secretly exclaimed, "What a god-defying thing." In just a few days, Chu Feng was able to combine the Fire Yang Kung and the Wu Feng sword to create such a domineering martial arts. Is it true that the Son of Destiny is invincible with the blessing of heaven? Lu Chen didn't believe it. Even if he would lose, he wouldn't want to lose so easily to the person he hated the most. Yuan Hung Immortal Slash. The energy and blood in Lu Chen's body surged, and a steady stream of true energy surged out of his body, converging into this most powerful blow. Suddenly, the air in front of Lu Chen began to boil. Dazzling dark red light flowed and filled the air. A sword energy without any fancy gathered on top of Chu Feng's head. But in the face of absolute force, all means are in vain. Two different forces rage, colliding with fierce explosions, and the air exploded and buzzed. Dragon Hidden Step. There was a cold light passing through Lu Chen's deep, ink-like eyes. Lu Chen knew he was outmatched, so he quickly redirected the energy in his body and used Qilong Hidden Step to escape from the center of the explosion to minimize the degree of injury. Chu Feng grinned. This wave caught Lu Chen off guard. With Lu Chen's strength, he might not be able to resist. Although it was unclear what happened at the center of the explosion. But what he can be sure of is that even if Lu Chen is not dead, he will still be disabled. After his great revenge was avenged, Chu Feng felt refreshed. When Chu Feng relaxed, Lu Chen's afterimage floated past his eyes like a ghost. Immediately afterwards, there was a violent impact on his back, and Chu Feng threw himself towards the ground in front of him like a kite with its string broken. The coarse cloth on his back shattered, revealing his broad back, but the burnt flesh was shocking. Chu Feng gritted his teeth and climbed up. His expression became completely solemn at this time, and the disdain in his eyes disappeared. Chu Feng never expected that Lu Chen would actually take his attack. This made Chu Feng feel an unprecedented threat. Outside the arena, the four powerful martial emperors looked silently at the smoke-filled arena, watching every move of the two people on the stage. Hong Tianxiang sincerely praised, "Lu Chen's performance is really surprising. If he and Chu Feng were in the same realm, Chu Feng would not be his opponent." Ji Wuchang, holding the rusty iron sword, was concentrating on admiring the duel, completely ignoring Hong Tianxiang's feelings. "I have to say, Lu Zhanyuan, you did give birth to a good son." Mr. Chen envied that Lu Chen's talent as a monster was unheard of. In the middle stage of the 4th-level martial arts, he jumped up to challenge the 5th-level martial master, and even matched Chu Feng. One after another, envious eyes couldn't help but cast towards Lu Zhanyuan. With such a monster's talent, within 20 years, the Lu family would probably have another martial emperor. A double martial emperor. At that time, the Lu family's status was truly unshakable. Lu Zhanyuan was silent. Even he didn't know when Lu Chen's talent became so evil. Ever since he was expelled from his apprenticeship, Lu Chen's cultivation has made rapid progress, and he has never taught Lu Chen this unheard of or unseen technique. Lu Zhanyuan now even began to doubt whether Lu Chen was his son. Seeing that Lu Zhanyuan was silent, everyone's eyes focused on the ring again. A coldness flashed through the depths of Chu Feng's eyes. He held the edgeless sword in his hand and was always ready to deliver a fatal blow to Lu Chen. His patience had been completely exhausted by Lu Chen. But Lu Chen's skills were too weird, and he couldn't break Lu Chen's movements for a while. However, Lu Chen must have paid a heavy price for being able to block his attack, otherwise his speed would not be so much slower than at the beginning, Chu Feng thought. Lu Chen drooped his arms, and blood was dripping along the fingertips of his right arm. In his left hand, he held a broken red sword, and the blade of the Yuan Hong sword was missing. Chu Feng's blow just now, even he had to use all his strength to resolve it, and his right arm lost all feeling because of it. The numb tingling kept stimulating his nerves, causing the muscles on his face to tremble continuously, spasming. Lu Chen knew that he might not be able to hold on for long. He was indeed the son of destiny. Chu Feng, I am the one who underestimated you after all. Ever since Chu Feng set foot in Yanjing, Lu Chen had made things difficult for him in every possible way and used all kinds of conspiracies and tricks to make Chu Feng look ridiculous. But in the end, Lu Chen couldn't even resist Chu Feng's original martial arts. He is too weak after all. Strong force is more practical than any conspiracy. Lu Chen paused, stopped, his eyes flashed, and he said in a low voice, "System, come out and help me." "Host, how do you want me to help you?" A cold mechanical voice came from his mind. "Convert all my destiny points into my force, all of them." Seeing Lu Chen pause, Chu Feng sneered. "Is Lu Chen finally ready to surrender? I've been waiting for so long, it seems you can't do more than that." Lu Chen retorted, "Really? It's not certain who will win." What happened? Why did they stop? Seeing the two people facing each other stop in the ring, everyone onlookers looked up curiously. "Wait a minute, Mr. Lu, his strength is increasing, he seems to be making a breakthrough. What the hell, this kid breaks through at this time, is he looking for death?" Lu Zhanwang noticed Lu Chen's state, and his powerful voice sounded. "Zhan Yuan, Lu Chen breaks through at this moment, I feel it is necessary to suspend the game, otherwise Lu Chen may." Mr. Chen glanced at Lu Zhanwang and said with a smile, "Is there any reason for a duel to stop at any time? Since the game is terminated, how about even if Lu Chen loses the duel?" "You?" Lu Zhanwang's eyes were about to burst. This was driving Lu Chen to a dead end. If Chu Feng did not respect martial ethics and attacked Lu Chen in this situation, Lu Chen would either die or be injured. Lu Zhanyuan glared angrily. Mr. Chen's move undoubtedly completely angered Lu Zhanyuan. Just when Lu Zhanyuan was about to stop the duel from continuing, something happened on the stage. Chu Feng was stunned when he saw Lu Shen's increasing strength. Then he had a rude awakening. Lu Chen actually made a breakthrough on the spot. Chu Feng suddenly stepped on the ground with the sole of his foot, and his figure turned into a phantom and rushed out, rushing towards Lu Chen who was making a breakthrough. Lu Chen must not be allowed to break through, absolutely not. Shu Zion dare. In Lu Zhanhuang, Lu Zhanan and a group of Lu elders stormed towards Chu Feng. Chu Feng must not be allowed to disturb Lu Chen's breakthrough. Chu Feng actually wanted to kill the Lu family's genius in front of them. "Everyone, get out of here. According to the rules, no third party is allowed to enter the ring during a duel." Old Chen dragged his fat body and tore apart the space to appear in front of Lu Zhanwang, blocking the way of Lu Zhanyuan and others, preventing them from getting closer to the ring. Lu Zhanyuan was completely furious. Hong Tianxiang on the side could clearly see his body shaking violently, and even faintly heard the sound of gritting teeth coming from Lu Zhanyuan's mouth. Hong Tianxiang also realized that she had to do something, otherwise with Lu Zhanyuan's temper, there would be a big fight later. If one of the two powerful martial emperors was injured, it would be a loss to the Dragon Kingdom. A red afterimage was seen passing by, and Hong Tianxiang had already appeared on the ring. She stretched out her slender jade fingers with clear joints, preparing to end this absurd duel. But she was stunned by the next scene, the shocked Flax. For a moment, he even forgot what he was going to do. He retracted his outstretched jade finger in embarrassment, then turned around and exited the ring. Because in just 10 seconds, Lu Chen succeeded in breaking through. "Chu Feng, you are not qualified to kill me." Lu Chen suddenly opened his dark eyes, staring coldly at Chu Feng who was attacking him, without any fear in his expression. Lu Chen looked at the iron sword that Chu Feng had thrown at him, and there was even a look of disdain on Lu Chen's face. As expected, the despicable Chu Feng took action against him during his breakthrough. He was as despicable as ever. At first, Lu Chen was expelled from the school in Huayang Mountain. "It's almost the fault of this guy Chu Feng." Lu Chen's body suddenly tilted and he moved a small step, just dodging Chu Feng's edgeless sword that was thrown at him. The edgeless sword in Chu Feng's hand hit the ground, and the ground was deeply sunk, forming a spider web. A huge gaping pit. The sudden change made Chu Feng's expression suddenly change. How can this be? Could it be possible that Lu Chen achieved a breakthrough in just a few seconds? This is absolutely impossible. This must be Lu Chen's trick to deceive him. Lu Chen didn't give Chu Feng any time to react. He held Chu Feng's arm with his backhand. Lu Chen jumped up and slammed his knee into Chu Feng's chest. His fist filled with energy kept swinging towards Chu Feng's head. Chu Feng groaned and took a few steps back. Immediately, a fishy sweet feeling suddenly emerged from his throat. Puff! Brother Chu Feng! Lu Wanqing clenched her pink fists in front of Xiaohe's pointed breasts, and a look of worry appeared on her pink face. A man was willing to do this for her, what else could she say? Not only Chu Feng, but almost everyone present was severely shocked by Lu Chen. It only took Lu Chen a few breaths to break through. This has broken the limits of the world's cognition. A warrior's breakthrough must come naturally. Breaking through rashly has a very low success rate and may even put the warrior into a desperate situation. Therefore, a warrior will never take the risk of breaking through the realm and putting himself in a state of death. And Lu Chen not only achieved a breakthrough, but also did it under such critical circumstances. It was difficult for them not to be surprised by this. Wait, Lu Chen's realm is not that of the late 4th grade Wuzong, but the peak of the 4th level martial arts. It's only one step away from the 5th grade martial lord. How on earth did he do it? Even Mr. Chen, who had the most experience, looked at Lu Chen in disbelief, feeling very puzzled. The shock that this junior of the Lu family brought to him was even more intense than what Chu Feng had brought to him. Such a monster's martial arts talent is unprecedented. Hong Tianxiang slowly lowered her body, her white fingers entangled her hair, she smiled awkwardly but charmingly and said, "It seems that Lu Chen doesn't need my help. I don't know how many different things this little guy can bring me." Surprise. Ji Wuchang on one side was staring at Lu Chen like a madman, the fiery fighting spirit in his eyes seemed to burn everything. Lu Zhanyuan looked at Lu Chen with somewhat complicated eyes. Lu Chen's display of strength made him feel more and more that the person in front of him was not his son at all. Since returning from his apprenticeship, Lu Chen's personality and talent have both become unfamiliar to him. Is this Lu Chen, who is so talented and monstrous, really his son? If so, that would be great. In the arena, Lu Chen grinned, and the majestic true energy, which was as terrifying as a storm, spread out from his body like a huge wave, and his force was infinitely close to the realm of the martial lord. This wave of true energy is not the late stage of Wuzong, but the peak? Chu Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes narrowed, and he couldn't help but have a look of fear on his face. He was so crazy in his heart that he wanted to tear Lu Chen into pieces. Is this Lu Chen's true strength? How could this despicable man hide his shame for so long? But so what, no matter what, you, Lu Chen, are still a martial arts master. If you want to defeat the martial arts master, your hope is still slim. Lu Chen is dead. Chu Feng roared and his eyes narrowed. His figure turned into lightning and appeared in front of Lu Chen. His fist filled with violent energy slammed into Lu Chen. The true energy in Lu Chen's body was flowing, and he started to move the dragon hidden step calmly. A dragon's cry resounded through the sky, carrying the sound of breaking wind. Lu Chen's figure turned into an afterimage and disappeared, escaping Chu Feng's sharp blow. Hit. Astonishing force hit the ring, and even the ground of the ring collapsed instantly, sending smoke and dust everywhere. Chu Feng gritted his teeth and roared. Damn it, his speed is faster than before. Chu Feng took a defensive posture to resist the dense attacks from all around. Lu Chen's attacks were not painful to him, but being teased like this made Chu Feng very unhappy. If it weren't for the speed limit, Lu Chen would have died countless times by now. Seeing that his attack was ineffective against Chu Feng, Lu Chen stopped and took out the Dragon Soul Needle from the system space. As soon as the Dragon Soul Needle came out, it caused a commotion in all directions. An extremely domineering wave of true energy spread out from the tip of the needle like a wave of water. What's this? There is such a strong amount of Zhenqi condensed on the small needle. Is it not an ordinary weapon? This golden needle has reached the level of a heaven-level weapon. Where did Lu Chen get this treasure? Don't ask me. I want to know too. Chu Feng put down the edgeless sword and sneered. Lu Chen, you are too naive. Do you think that these few small needles can defeat me? Chu Feng himself is the apprentice of the medical fairy Fengju. There are probably few people who know more about needles than he does. If you want to play with needles in front of him, it is really like playing with a broadsword in front of Guangong. Lu Chen's face was indifferent, his eyes were filled with cold light, and there was no nonsense between him and Chu Feng. Lu Chen put his fingers on his chest and controlled the Dragon Soul Needle with his mind. Hundreds of small needles were suspended in the air. The dragon soul needle trembled slightly and made a buzzing sound. Then, the true energy on the dragon soul needle was ignited by some magical power, burning with a burning flame. The dragon soul needles wrapped in blazing flames, under the control of Lu Chen's thoughts, aimed at Chu Feng's acupuncture points and shot towards Chu Feng at an extremely fast speed. The dense dragon soul needles rained down like rain. But Lu Chen's control over the dragon soul needles was not as skillful as he imagined. Most of the dragon soul needles were defended by the infuriating energy outside Chu Feng's body, and few of them could touch Chu Feng's body. Chu Feng felt the painless attack on his body and mocked, "Lu Chen, if these are your only means, you should get off the ring." This time, Chu Feng did not hesitate at all. He stamped his feet fiercely, and the entire arena seemed to tremble at this moment. Just when Chu Feng was about to leap up and attack, he suddenly found that his arm. No. It was a tingling sensation all over my body, and my limbs became numb. It even made the true energy in his body become restless and chaotic. "It must be you, Lu Chen, I'll kill you." Chu Feng fell on the ring, clenching his hands tightly. His eyes were covered with bloodshot eyes, and a low roar came from Chu Feng's throat, showing how crazy he was. But no matter how he circulated the true energy in his body, he didn't get any response. The true energy in Chu Feng's body seemed to have become silent. It seemed to be sealed by some special power. "Kill me? Just because you are a bastard? Chu Feng, who do you think you are? How dare you make such arrogant remarks?" Lu Chen ignored Chu Feng's internal energy being sealed. His figure rushed out like thunder, and kicked Chu Feng in the chest. Chu Feng only felt that his sternum was shattered, and a trace of fishy sweetness came out of his throat. His body flew out, and then he spit out a large mouthful of blood on the ground. Even the coarse cloth was stained red. When Lu Chen broke through just now, Chu Feng wanted to kill him with a deadly attack. Then Lu Chen would not give Chu Feng a chance to breathe. Chu Feng was half kneeling in the middle of the ring. His eyes were extremely low, and he kept trying to break the seal, otherwise he would be doomed to defeat. The outcome of this duel was beyond many people's expectations. If this continues, Chu Feng will undoubtedly be defeated. Many people looked at each other. This was an ending they had never imagined. The energy in that kid's body seems to be out of control. Is there something weird about the golden needle Lu Chen used? Looking at Lu Chen walking towards him step by step, Chu Feng's face turned pale, and there was still horror in his eyes. He didn't understand what method Lu Chen used to make the true energy in his body uncontrollable. Wait, did he seal my acupuncture points? At this time, a green long sword, the drinking spring sword, appeared out of thin air in Lu Chen's hand. The sword of the drinking spring sword is surrounded by cyan qi, which is so sharp that it makes one's heart palpitate. Sensing Lu Chen's killing intent, Chu Feng hurriedly wanted to retreat, but his speed was as slow as a turtle in Lu Chen's eyes. Lu Chen's figure disappeared like a ghost, and the drinking spring sword in his hand went straight to Chu Feng's throat. Shu Xian dare! Unrivaled power burst out from Chen Lao's body. He had no time to think, and his body rushed out. If Lu Chen succeeded, everything he had done would be in vain. We must not let Chu Feng die here. Ji Wuchang's eyes flashed coldly. This old guy who relies on his old age to show off his old age just said that no third party is allowed to intervene in the duel, but he openly broke the rules. This approach is really disgusting. The iron sword in Ji Wuchang's hand buzzed and was about to be unsheathed to stop Mr. Chen. But Lu Zhanyuan appeared in front of Mr. Chen at some unknown time. Lu Zhanyuan raised his arm and said in a low voice, "The soul-destroying palm." On the sky, a huge black and red palm print appeared, and then it blasted away directly at old Chen's body at an astonishing speed. The black and red color filled the sky and the earth, as if it could shatter everything in the world. A huge dark black handprint that covered the sky condensed in the midair, and the world seemed to dim for a moment. The handprint tore the space, and the domineering power bombarded Chen Lao's body. Mr. Chen was caught off guard and his body fell like a meteorite. Suddenly the ground trembled slightly, a loud noise resounded through the sky, and a huge deep pit was sunk below the ground. Above the collapsed earth, a figure was still floating quietly. Lu Zhanyuan looked at Mr. Chen who flew out of the pit coldly like a murderous god, his eyes filled with evil aura. Emperor Wu was so angry that his blood flowed thousands of miles. Lu Zhanyuan, what do you mean by this? If anything happens to Chu Feng, I will stay with you and the Lu family until death. Huh, that's ridiculous. You're such a smart guy, you old thief with a gray beard. You keep saying that no third party is allowed to enter the ring in a duel. And now you're trying to stop the duel. Have you ever asked me if I agree? Lu Zhanyuan did not give in at all, snorted and gritted his teeth. Elder Chen knew that he was not paying attention and did not care to argue with Lu Zhanyuan. He hurriedly looked at Chu Feng. Chu Feng gritted his teeth and looked at Lu Chen, who was approaching him infinitely, and shouted, Lu Chen, you forced me to do this. You can be proud of yourself for forcing me to this point, even if you lose. The fierce Yang Kung Fu is guided by blood sacrifice. A piece of pure blood flew out from the center of Chu Feng's eyebrows. The blood droplet was suspended in the air, and instantly burned with blazing flames. Chu Feng's lips curled up into a smile, and he swallowed the blood droplet into his mouth. Lu Chen looked at Chu Feng, whose aura was rising with palpitations, and hurriedly retreated. As expected, Chu Feng still had some tricks up his sleeve. This kid actually used his essence and blood to temporarily improve his cultivation. He's crazy. After all, I am too young and energetic, and the price is too high. Most of the people present were old guys who had seen the world, and they could probably guess about Chu Feng's moves. The moves used by Chu Feng were special martial arts that increased the level of force at the cost of blood essence. This kind of martial skill would never be used easily by ordinary warriors unless they were in a desperate situation. Because the price is too high, ranging from being seriously injured for several years to being severely injured. Mr. Chen's eyes were dark and extremely gloomy. Lu Zhanyuan, are you happy now? If little friend Chu Feng makes any mistake, I, Chen Zhenshin, will never let you off the Lu family easily. If you don't let go of my Lu family, how can I, my Lu family, let you go so easily? You. Chen Zhenshin was so angry that his lips trembled, and he didn't know what to say to cover up his embarrassment at this moment. He is the master of the martial saint, with disciples all over the Dragon Kingdom. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this. Lu Zhanyuan was not afraid at all and met Chen Zhenshin's gaze. He was now unwilling to give any face to such a shameless old guy. If you give too much face, it won't be worth anything. Ever since Chen Zhenshin stepped into the Lu family, his attitude has been extremely arrogant, completely lacking the composure and restraint of an elder. He not only threatened his son in public, but also put the blame for assassinating Lu Yunxiao on Lu Chen's head. No matter how good-tempered Lu Zhanyuan is, he can't stand this kind of guy who bites his nose and face. Everyone felt sorry for Chu Feng, lamenting that Chu Feng was still too young and too easily angered. Obviously all he needs to do is admit defeat, but by resorting to such extreme measures, he might find it difficult to improve his martial arts in a few years. What everyone doesn't know is that the price Chu Feng needs to pay to use this fierce yang technique is extremely low. It can even be said that there will be no price paid. The fifth realm of Lai Yang Kung. It can help warriors greatly increase their force in a short period of time, but the price is only that they cannot use force for half a month, and the impact on the warrior is minimal. Compared with the price of burning blood essence and blood in order to increase the force, it is simply much better. Is this your last resort? It's within my expectation. Lu Chen's eyes were cold, and he was not too surprised. As Chu Feng was the son of destiny, if he died in his own hands so easily, then it would be better to let him be the son of destiny. Young Master Lu Chen is just showing off here, and now you are at the end of your game. Chu Feng stood up and moved his shoulders. The pain in his shoulders gradually disappeared. At the end of the battle, my good senior brother, my junior brother, the warm-up has just ended. Junior brother? A despicable guy like you deserves to be called my brother, Chu Feng retorted. Lu Chen stood in the air, his eyes as black as ink, looking at Chu Feng with some indifference, and then he suddenly clenched his palm, and a huge handprint as deep as ink covered it. Don't forget, Lu Chen has a system. As long as Chu Feng, the son of destiny, has any emotional breakdown, it will continuously be converted into destiny points and become Lu Chen's strength. Just now, Lu Chen had gained no less than 50,000 destiny points from Chu Feng's broken emotions. Taking advantage of Chu Feng's daze, Lu Chen exchanged Lu Zhanyuan's martial skill, Desolate Soul Destroying Palm, from the system. With the blessing of the system, he can directly cultivate Dzogchen. Chu Feng, can you handle this palm? Chu Feng raised his eyes and saw this terrifying palm technique, and his pupils shrank slightly. At this moment, He had no choice but to give it a try. Shocking and strange fluctuations gathered from behind Chu Feng, and the true energy surged towards Chu Feng like a tide. Chu Feng roared, and struck out with a palm. The flame storm raged and burned, and the scorching airwaves enveloped the violent true energy. It seemed as if it could burn the whole world to ashes. Burning Sky Palm. The palm technique used by Chu Feng belongs to the martial arts derived from the Fire Yang Kung. It is naturally not as powerful as Lu Chen's soul-destroying palm. However, Chu Feng's force is more powerful than Lu Chen's, and the true energy in his body is also stronger than Lu Chen's. Lu Chen is more intense. One is the son of destiny, the other is hanging on the wall. The two huge palm prints collided together, and violent zhenqi fluctuations shook out, lifting the bodies of Chu Feng and Lu Chen. Huge, destructive handprints covered the ground, and the arena collapsed and sank into the ground. Cracks spread like spider webs, and the earth trembled violently at this moment. The huge martial arts arena was silent. Lu Chen's performance was so astonishing. It can be said without any humility that Lu Chen's talent can definitely be regarded as the most amazing one in the Dragon Kingdom in the past 500 years. The people who witnessed this duel looked at each other. Was it finally over? But no one of the two people on the stage stood up. Is it possible that this duel ended in a draw? One person exclaimed. Wait, look, someone seems to be standing up. Among the ruins, Lu Chen covered his arms and climbed up with difficulty. Blood slowly flowed down his forehead, and his black hair was dancing messily in the wind. At this time, he no longer had the grace of the past. The broken clothes were enough to explain that what a heavy price was paid to win this duel. There was a heart-piercing pain deep in the bone marrow. Lu Chen ignored the heart-rending pain that spread throughout his body and slowly walked towards Chu Feng. Chu Feng lay motionless on the ground like a dead dog. His body seemed to be paralyzed. The only thing that could move were his eyes. Those eyes filled with deep hatred were enough to show the extent of his resentment towards Lu Chen. How profound. Seeing Chu Feng's miserable state, Lu Chen couldn't stop laughing wildly. He gloated. Ha ha ha, Chu Feng was defeated by you after all. If that bitch Feng Ju knew that you lost to me, would she be pissed to death by you loser? Chu Feng, you kicked me out of the master's school. Have you ever thought about today? At this moment, Lu Chen couldn't wait to vent all the grievances deep in his heart. Because of a small blazing sun grass, he was expelled from the school. The whole thing was so confusing that he was kicked out of Huayang Mountain without even finding out the truth. Lu Chen was not only wronged, but also angry. He would never forget that day. That bitch Feng Ju was unwilling to give him a chance to explain, and didn't even bother to look at him. How could Lu Chen not suspect that this was a scene carefully planned by the three masters and apprentices? The purpose was nothing more than to drive him out, an outsider who had become a disciple halfway. Lu Chen approached Chu Feng step by step. At this moment, a graceful figure flew out from the stands and appeared directly in front of Chu Feng. Lu Wanqingyu held the Lingxi sword in her hand, pointed the tip of the sword at Lu Chen's chest, and said angrily, Lu Chen, what are you going to do? The duel is over. As long as I'm here, you can't even think of hurting brother Chu Feng. Lu Chen was stunned for a moment, and his whole body began to tremble violently. He gritted his teeth and said, Lu Wanqing, you are a bitch who eats inside and outside. Our Lu family has worked hard for 20 years to raise you, but you colluded with outsiders to seek power and usurp the throne. How brave. Before he could cause trouble for Lu Wanqing, this white-eyed wolf stood up first. How could Lu Chen not be angry? Lu Wanqing's pink and fair face is completely pale. Is she seeking power and usurping the throne? She just wants to get back what belongs to her. What's wrong with that? Lu Chen, please stop messing around here. Brother Chu Feng just couldn't bear to see you bullying me, so he couldn't help but take action. The position of the head of the Lu family belongs to me. I want to get back what belongs to me. This is what's wrong. Lu Wanqing's dark eyebrows frowned slightly. Her beautiful eyes stared resentfully into Lu Chen's eyes, her pretty face covered with frost. Ha ha ha. Lu Chen was laughing like crazy, and the sound of laughter echoed on the ruins for a long time. Your thing? Lu Wanqing, is this something you should covet? You, a bastard picked up by the Lu family, have no right to bark here. The words stirred up 1,000 waves, and the Lu elders looked at each other, their expressions even more uncertain. Why did Lu Chen know about Lu Wanqing's life experience? They have never revealed Lu Wanqing's life experience to anyone. As soon as Lu Chen said this, everyone turned their attention to Lu Zhanyuan. At this moment, Lu Zhanyuan's whole body froze, and his body stood there like a sculpture. He had no intention of explaining the criticism coming from around him, but his indifferent expression made people vaguely guess. Lu Wanqing was even more stunned on the spot and didn't say anything for a long time. After regaining her composure, Lu Wanqing lightly opened her pink lips and said, "Lu Chen, do you know what you are talking about? I'm warning you to think twice before speaking, don't open your mouth." Lu Chen turned his head, looked at Chu Feng behind Lu Wanqing and mocked wantonly. "Chu Feng, I won after all. Even if you think about dying, you can't know that the blood flowing in Lu Wanqing's body is not the blood of my Lu family at all. Chu Feng, the plan you worked so hard to plan is just a joke in the end." "Lu Chen, shut up. Why do you say that the blood flowing in me is not the blood of the Lu family? I, Lu Wanqing, was born as a member of the Lu family and died as a ghost of the Lu family. My loyalty to the Lu family can be verified day and night. Learn from it." Lu Wanqing bit her red lips lightly, her cold eyes glowing with cold light. In her opinion, Lu Chen was really stupid. As expected, a dog couldn't spit out ivory from its mouth. The evil aura in Lu Chen's eyes at this moment was turbulent, revealing a biting coldness, which made Lu Wanqing's soft and delicate body tremble slightly and unnoticeably. How did this guy become so scary? Lu Chen's smile deepened, and he turned his eyes and asked, "Elders, who recommended Lu Wanqing to be the head of the Lu family just now? Have my Lu family ever owed you anything?" "The Lu family has never owed us anything." At this time, only a few elders such as Lu Zhanwang answered. "Why should I give away the family fortune accumulated by my Lu family ancestors over thousands of years?" The Lu family elders lowered their cloudy eyes. No one wanted to meet Lu Chen's gaze. Yes, they felt guilty. Before, they naturally took a fancy to Lu Wanqing's martial arts talent, but Lu Chen was just a loser at that time. But who would have thought that Lu Chen would be able to cross 2 realms in just a few months with all his hard work? The elders of the Lu family were in a state of confusion. At this moment, facing Lu Chen's questioning, they were speechless. Lu Chen looked gloomy. He was so disappointed in these Lu elders. Lu Wanqing was completely panicked. The attitude of the elders of the Lu family made her doubt her own life experience. Lu Wanqing hesitated and said in confusion, "Grandpa, do you know something? Is what Lu Chen said not true?" Lu Zhanwang, who loved Lu Wanqing the most, frowned and smiled helplessly. "I never thought this day would come. The fact they least want to face." Lu Wanqing's light voice trembled slightly, and her shining eyes looked at her father, Lu Zhanyuan, and murmured inarticulately, "Dad, Lu Shen. Everything he said, is that true?" Lu Zhanyuan remained silent and looked at Lu Wanqing calmly, his eyes still full of love. But this look made Lu Wanqing feel extremely strange. The family background that Lu Wanqing was most proud of was gone. She collapsed completely. Her body was shaking like chaff. She fell to the ground and cried hysterically. "I don't believe it. I don't believe it, Lu Chen. You lied to me. You guys lied to me. They're all lying to me. It's absolutely impossible. I am the only heir to the Lu family. And you, Lu Chen, are the bastard picked up by the Lu family." Lu Chen looked at the frantic Lu Wanqing and said with an indifferent expression, "Lu Wanqing, you are really crazy now. I remember I said to you, cherish everything you have now, maybe one day it will no longer belong to you. But you didn't take my warning seriously, and it's entirely your own fault that you've fallen into this situation." This dramatic scene took everyone present by surprise. Unexpectedly, the eldest daughter of the Lu family, Lu Wanqing, turned out to be a picked wild species. Doesn't that mean that Lu Chen is now the only heir to the Lu family? The outcome of this duel does not matter. It is impossible for Lu Wanqing to become the head of the Lu family. Lu Wanqing's eyes flashed coldly, and she looked at Lu Chen gloomily. Lu Chen made her lose everything. "Lu Chen, I will kill you."